Everybody, welcome back to a normal film club. Sandy's back after Jay was a bit obsessive with Batman, to be honest.
Yeah, I couldn't take another minute of just stasis. We needed Sandy.
I thought you guys were awesome.
No, it was honestly a lot of fun.
I enjoyed. Yeah. I thought to myself, you guys got to do specials more often, so I can just sit back and enjoy it.
My kid did find out, and he got his little Batman toy, and then for the rest of the week he was going, "I'm Batman, I'm Batman." So I kept thinking, turn off the light, and he does his little bat signal. And then every time I did it, he pointed the photo, the light up with me, and he's like, "Turn off the light." I'm like, "Okay," and he does it, and then I have to go, "I'm Batman," and he's like, "Yes!" Gets really excited as a 3-year-old. I'm like, "Okay, wait for it." But
does he know the song though? Everything is awesome.
Look, already been outed.
Abe doesn't miss a thing.
No, it's a summer haircut. It's nice. It's like that. So
it's January.
It's I know, summer, but fair enough.
Yeah, but I grow it out. I get it caught, and it just so I just let it go.
I'm actually due for one myself, but it is like frigid temperatures right now in the Northeast. So I've left the beard and the hair because I'm like, let me give it another week till it warms up a little bit, and then I'll cut everything.
Let's say we can just go. I can just grow the beard if I get cold.
Yeah, get rid of the beard. It's pretty cold, believe it or not.
Now we were afraid we were going to talk old people thing. Now you two are going on about haircuts.
It's film club. It goes all over the place.
I say I mustn't what is it? I probably not had a beard for like 20 years. It's got to be like 19, 20 years now. Yeah, something like that.
I go in and out of them. I'll have one, grow it for a while, cut it off, and just kind of regrow it.
You, Sandy?
How's yours doing, Sandy?
But, I am looking at my nail polish and deciding what color to do next.
Well, there you go.
So.
Don't you probably get Jade in chat soon? We go, oh well. That's it.
No, you two are doing quite fine with your grooming commentary there.
It's going to be this is about hairy creatures.
Yeah, see, there's a tie-in.
So there we go. So it's a time we should talk about beards. It is a B. This is our first B movie. This is our movie. Yeah. This is our first B movie.
Without a doubt.
A B movie that did well.
Did it? Interesting.
Yeah,
it did. Shockingly.
We'll get the things out, and it did extremely well. So Sandy, a long time not seeing it, I suppose, or seen it back in the 90s, I suppose,
on television. Yeah. So I already know there were some things in the film that were cut out for television. So the very first scene with the animal that's been zapped or whatever, eaten, because what's on television is not, there weren't even those snippets of the gore. So a very different experience as a kid. I think as a kid, it felt like a silly, goofy B movie. And here it was just slightly a little more tense. So a neat experience to see it in its full glory. And I wonder if, like, some of the films that we talk about, probably, again, most of us, but mostly Jay, would not have seen it in the theaters because we're all too young. And so whatever we're watching on television in the United States is always edited down before we got into the era of cable TV where it wasn't edited. So that'll be interesting to see the difference. I really noticed it with this film.
That's interesting. Jay, this is your first experience, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and it was an experience. That's for sure.
Now,
it was very 80s, and I did love that about it. It felt very 80s, which I was able to enjoy.
It is very 4 point. It it feels like, even if you saw that poster, you're not going to get misled of what you're going to watch.
Yeah, I mean, this poster really says it all. Like, critters, farmland. That's about it.
It is. This is like where I put this on the list, because I think this is where I like my B movies. I do like everybody's got those movies that you go, do you like that? That's a bit dreadful. But this, like, I think this one is a B movie of the era that is done very, very well. And I mean that because it's very simple, but with great practical effects to not make you go, oh, that's stupid. It's silly. It's a bit of fun. It's not supposed to take itself seriously. And it's, what's it like? The period of where everybody thinks America is Kansas. Literally, everybody's got a farm. Oh, it's happy families with, the sister and brother always at each other. It's literally, this is how the era of how they wrote a family. Mum and
don't
dad
forget the bumbling simpleton and the sheriff. That was a stereotypical sheriff as well, all together.
Yeah, it's low. I'm off the bat. I did find it funny because I was like, this is going to be funny to find Jay's reaction, because I'm guessing you've never seen a movie like this.
Like, no, I'm trying to think. Nothing comes to mind. I've seen some low budget kind of movies like this, but nothing quite like this. It almost felt like something like Gremlins, but Gremlins felt a little bit more invested in, if that makes sense, in terms of the making of it. But like, it kind of gave me some of those vibes with the practical effects and things like that, but not quite. That's like the closest thing I can compare it to vibe wise.
Because Gremlins is actually, what I read up was actually released before this movie. And everybody thought this movie ripped it off, but the screenplay was written before Gremlins. So the screenplay had been,
interesting.
There you go. As it just actually said it. Yeah. So it's a weird one. And also, I think this movie did quite well because of the stars who are in it had done something a couple of years previously that got released that did really, really well. And that's why you got the mother, Dean Williams. She's the headliner in this.
Wallace.
Dee Wallace. So, because she's the mother in E.T.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and
they
Cujo.
kind of.
Cujo was big here too.
Was it? Yeah.
Yep.
So lucky enough, I think it happened that a few of the stars in this were known for TV that has just come out, was doing quite well, or movies that had done quite well. So I think the pool, though the stars aren't the stars of the movie, it's all about probably the bounty hunters and the critters, or the crates as known. But it's a fun ride, and it's a short fun ride. I like it, but like I always forget the setup to this movie is like when you get to the asteroid prison colony, I suppose, like that is the setup of, like, you forget this is actually, it's a B movie, but it is a sci-fi movie as well. It's not just a monster movie. So yeah, it's a good little start with, like, I hate to say it, like, it is good. Like, somebody, like, the what it looks like, and you get this is the prison warden I've got on screen at the moment. Like, he doesn't look bad. It looks like,
I noticed that as well. I will say, like, one thing about it, as I'm watching this opening scene, I'm like, oh, it looks like they actually tried to create, a sci-fi kind of universe. Like, it's not a huge one. It's not a Star Wars level one or Star Trek or anything like that. But like, they did at least actually try to set a new little sci-fi background, which I appreciated. It didn't look bad. Like, this ship, this guy, it didn't look bad.
Yeah, it could, like, you get the ones that, like, I say, for B movies where you're like, oh, that just looks silly. Like him hovering. They've tried their best. There's a lot of practical effects that, they're humanoids, but they still look good as like that. And then, of course, we go straight into, like, there's somebody picking up the critters. They had to destroy two, but they've They've escaped. 8 of them have escaped. There used to be 10, but we had to put down 2 because they kept eating everything. And I just love it because look, it's tacky, but it's actually done quite well. Like the spaceship, even to this,
did go cheap on the spaceship. They went cheap.
But like this,
I'll tell you.
The spaceship looks better later on, I think, in the kind of the last scene we see than it does in this one. But fair enough.
That reminds me, like the Sandy would definitely like the Battlestar. That kind of like with the like
The
how
original.
it's all lined. Yeah, the original. It's very much that kind of style. It's like that. And even to like the computer system, it's very Star Wars. Like that.
That's very Star Wars.
Yeah, it's really out of date. It's like but it's
inside to bring them that data.
Yeah. And then I do like the I think our characters these are the stars of the show for me, just with their dry acting.
This is what reminds this scene right here. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go on.
But if someone were flipping to this channel right now and didn't have the sound on, they would think we were watching an 80s music video because that's what this looks like. This whole scene looked like it could have been lifted into a music video because that whole the smoke and the weird figures. So sorry to interrupt, but this
and then we get a little bit of 80s like hairband style rock after too. So you could tell me this was a music video. Fair enough.
Johnny Still, I think it's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be like let's look, but it's even to this like the costume design I thought was good, but like we're not going to show the ship. How do we not show the ship? Fog machine. Like that's the cheapest trick, and it works because all you care about is like, well, how do we make these guys alien glowing heads? Yes, and then like, how can we? Yeah, we can then transform like that. Like anybody not seeing it, spoilers, but we'll get there in a minute. The point is they can transform into a look that suits them. That I think they say is compatible, don't they? I think they like the word.
The look has to like them.
That's
because that's what the other guy says.
Like me or something, which was interesting.
Yeah. But it's a really cheap trick. It's really very cleverly done. If you think about it, they were like, hey, we haven't got the budget to do alien faces all the time because it might look silly. But how do we, sort this out? I know. Let's make them morph into like their the faces. It's clever, and like when you see these come out, they look formidable. They're armored up. They've got like red leather on. It's ready to go, and it's just like it's a good setup because you've not really except for a little strong hand from the critters when he blows up one of the turrets. You don't really you don't really know who the Krites are, I suppose, on this thing. But I do like it, and then of course it quickly goes after they get the bounty job. We get to go to Kansas. Why? Because everybody gets to go to Kansas.
Of course, that's where all spaceships land in the United States.
Right.
They land in farmland in Kansas, and it looks just like this, or like Men in Black. It's just, or Superman. All spaceships land in Kansas. Yes,
but it's as cheap though, isn't it? Get rent a farm. Do what you want. Do you want to make like in this? You want to blow up some things? We've got some acres. So it does actually for production value probably even then you don't want to do it in the middle of a city because you ain't like, especially the lack of CGI, like why not? Like it does actually when you use your common sense cap, it does go that does make sense. That's why even like from the 30s like onwards, like sci-fi kind of aliens invading from Mars or whatever, everything was middle America, middle of nowhere. That dumb sheriff, he doesn't know what they're doing. Like
Close Encounters. Now I'm thinking of all of them, right?
There's actually a really fun video game from back in the day when I was younger, which was called Destroy All Humans, and it basically played into all these kind of tropes of movies of this time and even times before it, where it's a comedy type game where the alien comes down, you basically play as the alien, and you're abducting cows and all these different things. You go into the town fair. It's set in an exact kind of setting like this, and it's a really fun game. It's really comical as well. I think they did a couple remasters of it not that long ago.
Is there a sheriff in the game?
I'm sure there is. I can't remember one specifically off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's enough because I know you like cops come after you at some point and you have to fight them with your spaceship and all that. It was a really, really fun game. And there's a few remasters of it. I think there was 2 of them, and there's remasters out. But yeah, the second I started watching this, it really made me think of that because I'm like, oh yeah, this is that old trope that game was leaning into.
But it's it's a easy cheap trick, isn't it? It's like that.
Mm-hmm.
You have them. One, you got them isolated, and it's quickly we're going to it. The phone lines are gone because, especially if you said it around that time, mobiles aren't.
It was so funny. My first thought was like, just use your cell phone. I'm like, oh, that's right.
Jay, you sweet summer child, you.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's
then.
right.
Well, all they got, and I think I've got a picture in a minute, but like with you got the. I do like how in every American you have the long cord, so you can walk. The long cord is like, yeah, you go around the house with this massive cord. It's brilliant. So yeah,
but we get that, and then you got the a little later when he goes downstairs and sees that all the wires are pulled out of the main. Those great big old switch box, like none of us have those anymore, but those great big old switch boxes with the fuse, which is also referenced in A Christmas Story, with all the wires coming out and all that. When they showed that, I was like, that's like my grandmother's house with all the wires coming. It's so dangerous. And
everything exposed.
But yeah, so we get introduced to the main star only because she was in E.T. Dean Williams. Wallace.
She was in a bunch of them though. So if you're in the United States, like she was on a lot of the television shows, and then her big break, I think Cujo was first before E.T. and then this. So, but she plays essentially the same character in every. She's still alive. She's still acting.
Good for
She's
her.
still in different shows, and we'll talk a little bit about where everyone landed. But yeah, she was the big ticket item for this film.
Yeah, but I say this little scene is literally set up in every scene you get at this era for anywhere mid-America. They have the same family kind of continuity, I suppose, like that. There's the mum who's the mum at home, and there's the hard-working dad. There's the kid going to high school, and then there's the daughter who is probably just in college, and she's going with somebody dad wouldn't approve of. So it's like that, and it is like that. So we have of course, mum's hard cooking breakfast. Like I can't remember.
Mum's wearing an apron too.
April, I think.
Yeah, April. Yeah, and this is the cord I was on about, like with a big phone. Like, love them. I used to love these. I say somebody's on the phone.
You got to come downstairs.
So do you see the chair under the phone? So most of the phones were up, like in my first house that I lived in, the house was mounted to the wall, and the kids couldn't reach it. So in my house, there was like a little step stool so that we could get up and reach it. But there's the little chair under the phone. So
if you had a long call, you had a place to sit too, because you're not going to the couch with your cell phone here.
Yep.
But that's it. Like it's also, I always think like when they do them, it's always in the kitchen. We had ours in the kitchen, like on the kitchen wall entrance. And I think this is, I think it is so like, and I think it was so your parents could hear what you're saying, but you always thought they couldn't. But they know, like, just in case you're up to something naughty, like on the phone, it's that. But it's the quintessential like a mid-America. You got that. You got the hardworking dad, who's out on the phone. I can't remember who. What's Billy Zane's character?
Steve, I think.
Steve.
No, is it Steve? No.
Is it Steve?
Steve was Billy Zane's, I thought.
Yeah.
Let me just check it.
Steve Elliott. Yep.
Yeah. Steve.
Yeah. Steve. Who? And he's like, who's Steve? And it's like, it's just showing like the worst scenario for like a dad, older daughter. Is like, is like a little bit going around, like, because he was like, what happened to such and such? Oh,
right. What happened to the other kid?
Come on. Yeah. And he's like, oh. And of course you get then like again just the family fit the thing, and you get Brad. Of course, Brad is trying to play hooky, like kind of get day off because he gets the thermometer, like, and then tries to take it, and he's like, mum's like, oh, it's 109. God. But apparently
you can do better, dude.
Yeah, but apparently they put that scene in because she does the same scene in E.T. and she gets fooled by it.
Oh, I didn't realize
so
that.
they put it in so she doesn't get fooled by it.
She
in
learned
this
her
movie.
lesson. Oh, that's fine.
Learned her lesson. Yeah. So I thought, no, that's a good little.
Oops, dog's barking.
Now
The critters are here. Run.
Critters, run.
Weren't we just talking about Cujo?
Yeah.
There we go. But anybody remember what Brad's in?
Band of Brothers.
I've seen him in the Orville. That's what I recognize him from.
Orville, yes.
I recognize. I'm like, damn, I didn't realize this guy was acting for this long in his life.
He's Malarkey in Band of Brothers, and Malarkey's one of the.
Oh, you're right.
One of the real life characters that is, his story is interspersed with him, really telling the story.
Yeah, it's he's a one that was. I think he was in. I'm sure. I'm not sure if he was in 3, but he was released in the sequel to this. So it's it has a lot of sequels.
You made me go down the sequel rabbit hole, James. We're going to talk about
wow
this stuff. Yeah, this is crazy. We'll wait, but you made me look into them.
Yeah. So we're going. This is literally just the first bit is a setup, really, of like we know something's happening. It's obvious that the critters are going to land here. They're going things like that, but it's just showing there. The town, we got the bumbling, chewing tobacco. Obvious, he's the sheriff. It's a bit. It's just again. It's all just a bit obvious.
Sticky. It's a shtick. It's like a trope. Yep.
But he's in loads of things, isn't he? He's everywhere.
He's kind of one of those actors that I feel like we're in a bunch of things, but it's also like hard to name the things that he's been in. The first thing that came to mind that I watched recently was The Righteous Gemstones. I believe he played like the grandfather in that show. Very kind of odd little show, but he's in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and anybody.
I'm sorry, I was going to say Abe's comment though.
I know we'll get to that.
Okay, we'll wait then.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah, I saw that. Yes. So we got the bumbling receptionist. Anybody remember what she's been in?
No. Who is she?
Let's see. Oh my God! I'm gonna do something, and it was only because my girlfriend did it. If I do this,
I don't know.
So I just stepped away for a second to go take care of the dog, and I came back to that happening. I'm not sure what the hell I just missed.
Okay, bowling movie.
The Big Lebowski?
No, other bowling movie.
Oh God,
Wood Harrison.
Yeah.
Come on, anybody.
Amish bowler there. Why is it Kingpin? Is it Kingpin? Is that the name?
Yes.
No, what's the name of it? Is it Kingpin?
Yeah, Kingpin. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of the name.
I've not seen it. It's one that I have not seen.
Oh my God. Well, she's the old landlord, I suppose you want to call it, landlady. And he has to get away from his rent, and to do it she does this famous blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God, it was my girlfriend. He was like, do you know who that is? And I was like, no. And she was like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh God. I was like,
and it all clicked.
Yeah, don't make it. But yeah, so you get that. And of course, she she explains the drunk, of course, Charlie is sleeping it off out of the back, and the sheriff's a bit eyes roll back, blatantly obvious he's done it before. But then straight away we find out he's I suppose you want to call it one of those
believers.
Is it? Yeah, Independence Day, isn't it? What's his name?
What's his name? Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, they've done something like he thinks he's got, his feelings are picking up signals. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to put him in a tin hat, and like did that. And
the receptionist lady too, because she's like reading. So we had a magazine here called the Weekly World News.
Oh yes.
Every week would have all these crazy stories, and you'd read it just for fun. But there were people who were real believers who believed it was true. And if you remember in the movie Men in Black,
Elvis is now a dog, kind of.
Yes. In the movie Men in Black, and Tommy Lee Jones goes, no, we get our best leads from these, because buried within these crazy stories is the true stuff. So I think, between either something did happen to him, or he's just one of those believers and out, that's another trope that people in the Midwest are a little
kind,
not as intelligent. It's terrible. I love people in the Midwest, but they're gullible, right? They'll believe that stuff.
But yeah, and yeah, so we get the things, and of course, Abe called it. Jade's not going to know who this person is.
No,
don't know. And we gave you Star Trek homework. You would have got there. You would have got
Jay,
there.
you wouldn't.
I'm still backed up on my Star Trek homework.
So Abe called it. Did you get it straight away, Sandy, when you saw it?
Well,
like, oh my God.
When you texted me, I had a total spaz and was in fear that they had just created some kind of a television show called Neelix. Because your little message to me, you were like, "Hey, did you notice Neelix?" I was like, "Oh my God, Deep Space Nine! Like, please don't tell me they created a whole spinoff on Neelix." So my brain wasn't there. So right before I watched the film again and I looked at the cast list, I was like, "Aha, that's what he meant. Neelix is in the film, not we have to worry about some kind of crazy another Star Trek spinoff."
Yeah, so yeah, he plays I think he's done other things in Star Trek as well.
Yeah.
What is he? I can't remember the race. People, chat, go on then. Educate me. I forgot his race. But he's
what is he? He's brother.
I want to say Bolian, but it's not, is it? Oh my.
No. I gotta look it up now, and I'm gonna hate.
Oh, that's gonna bug me. Yeah, he's in when Janeway gets catapulted across the galaxy. She is a Talaxian. There we go.
Talaxian. Yeah. No, I should have known that.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
He's in it, so he's there. Like, he becomes their morale officer, doesn't he? And an ambassador later on. But yeah, he's a
nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. And when you see him in this, even in this, he's really nice.
Him and Cass.
Yeah. See, everybody's like, oh.
Sorry, we're going off on this.
Every time I was explaining it to my girlfriend, I was like, Neelix. And she was like, but that's not his name. And I was like, no, he's Neelix. He will always be Neelix to me. So yeah. Yeah, so we meet. I'm gonna refer to him as Neelix. I can't remember his name because he's not in it for that long. Spoilers. But Neelix is there. And of course, but we get back to on for that, and then we get back to the bounty hunters. They are now in their ship, bound, chasing the Krites. And then you get a holographic image of the warden telling them that they're heading for Earth. It's in a solar system that has a single planet, so it's good. And then I like this next scene. I think it's quite good sci-fi, like that. They get their image kind of receptors to learn about Earth history, and they speed it up, kind of like to so they can get themselves educated, I guess, through language and all that. But also they're looking for, as Sandy said earlier, a fit, a face fit. And of course, we get some 80s rock music now. Well, I don't know, pop rock. Yeah,
I mean, these were just made up for this film.
Yeah, this song was actually made for this song. I do like it. I think it's funny.
I thought it was a solid kind of made up song. Night. Yeah, like for like an 80s hair band type of ballad. Like it wasn't bad, and it was honestly pretty spot on for that
hair metal
time frame.
Yeah, the hair metal music. AI create an 80s hair metal song. It'll come up, Power of the Night. That sounds just. And hey, I was all, even into the early 90s, I was all about that music because my dad, definitely was into, hard rock and also Southern rock. And I was all in. On the hair bands for sure. That was me.
But it is. But they got the actor who plays him. Like he's not like he's been in like Sense8. He's still acting now. But they've got him. He's got like the big hair, the big like kind of lips like that. Like he's not very good looking. But people like leather jacket on. Oh yeah. Yep. It's very I just thought it's funny. And then they actually like when they kind of show back to the clip of the band. They've actually gone. They must have made a music video and must have to then edit it down for this scene. I thought it was great.
Even the music video, like it's kind of spot on for that era. So I actually like that
for
little
sure.
Part. Yeah, female drummer. You know, it's like it's so spot on. It's brilliant.
And
but like
as I'm looking at his filmography, he made it all the way to Critters 4. So he really
stuck it
out in this one.
He's the one. Yeah,
he kept coming back.
Yeah, not acting. He's the bounty hunter. Like that's it. But I just think that the premise of this shows you. I say like sorry guys, if you're a bit screaming.
That was not on television. Nope.
I figured that wouldn't have made it.
The morphine of the it's blatantly in reverse how they must have poured it and they've just done it in reverse. And then morphine slowly. I like this. I just think it's a bit for a B movie. It was quite clever.
They made the effort.
Yeah, and I was just like, it's a good job. And of course, he turns into Johnny Steele, and then he moans at the other one. Pick something, and that's when that's only like nothing likes me. So
nothing likes me, and it doesn't. And he has other options later on. He'll have other options. But I did want to say something about this whole 80s thing. Remember a few weeks ago, like I think we were still on stream when we were talking about the lack of volume of good movies that are out all at one time, because in the 80s and the 90s. Teenagers would just get in a car and quote, go to the movies. You didn't say, I'm going to see Batman. You said, I'm going to the movies, because you didn't know what you were going to see, because the idea was just to go out, be with your friends, hang out at the mall or whatever. And when you looked up at the board, there were 10 movies to pick from. And there were some new ones and old ones, but there was never, there's nothing to see. That never, ever, ever happened. Like there was always something to see. And this film, you can tell the way the story is really geared toward kids and teenagers. That's what these films were going after. Those teenagers going to the movies after, working their summer job. They've got some spend money. And every Friday or Saturday or both, they're going to the movies. And hey, maybe this is the one that'll appeal to them, because there's a little, it's a little scary. It's a little gory. There's some sci-fi. There's a teenager story. There's a, kids fumbling in the barn story. It was all of that. You can tell the formula was just, hey, okay, let's go see that, guys, just to, attract that crowd in to see probably, and I haven't looked, I'll look now to see what other films were released at the same time, but there probably were several similar knockoffs. And hey, I'll go see this one on Friday. Oh, but that looks good too. Maybe Saturday night I'll come back, because there were always films to see at the movies.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore, unfortunately.
I miss that. Like when I've gone to the cinema and then like you look, what else is on? You're like, oh, absolutely nothing. Like that's the problem. Like I remember, like me and my mate just go, what we're gonna watch? Don't care. It's whatever the next screening is. You turn up and you're like that. You might go for like a burger or like go bowling or something, play in the arcades, and then go, "Did you go cinema? Let's go." And you just turn up. And then you just go up and you go, "What's the next thing gonna play?" And go, "Well, in 20 minutes you got that. Let's go." And it's like that happened when like me and mate, like a couple of mates went to go and see Philadelphia, the Tom Hanks one. And we're like, like all of us like we were like. I know, but we were like 15, so we all went like that. We were like all of a sudden sobbing our head, like, we're like all like going, like all of us, like being boys, going, it's a bit gay, isn't it? Like that, and then at the end of it, we'll cry like that. Like, don't tell anybody. That was a really good movie.
Good movies too. Well, here, I won't go into the box office, but I'll just like. I'm looking at the list, like the top 30 for 1986. Right this minute, I would go see any one of these films, any one of them. We'll talk later. I'll go through it later, but that's we're off topic now and getting depressed about what's not in the theaters today. But this was definitely one. Hey, I'll go. I don't know. It's sure. Yeah. I'll do it.
Honestly, there was even still a little bit of that when I was a teenager. In the later, like getting closer to 2010, that range, we would go as high schoolers, just get in one of the buddies' car who had the license at the time, and just head to the movie theater on a $5 Tuesday that they did every week, and just pick something to watch. Like even then, early 2000. What do they call it? The early aughts. I forget what they call that era between 2000 and 2010, but it was still a thing even then.
It's supposed to be noughties, is it?
I forget what I thought. Yeah. I've heard some people call it the aughts, like 00 with an S at the end. I don't know, whatever. But that 10-year span, it was still a thing. You know, going to the movies and just kind of picking something was still a thing. It's just I guess it's not anymore, unfortunately.
No, it's a thing because like we're going to the numbers about this where a B movie can make it. Like we wouldn't have, you know, like Evil Dead, for example, do that well. You know, it just not going to happen. Like because it's all about that one movie. Next one movie, like it's rare you get.
It's like it's the blockbuster now. Like now it has to be the blockbuster to get people to go to the theater, which is like, you know.
Well, look at it. Like you could even see now, like Wicked came out. That was going to be that little thing, but there was nothing against it.
Yeah, like nothing against it, nothing after.
Yeah, and it was like, look at what the Oscars announced now. Like some of them, you're like, oh, I forgot that was out this year, and then the other ones are so obscure. They're not going to come out. They're going to go straight.
I hadn't even heard of some of them, to be honest.
It's just well, some of them are even not out, and it's just like okay, like that. And then I think this with that we might have to do an Oscar stream.
Don't forget we have the Passion of the Christ 2 to look forward to. The Resurrection.
Is it called? I'm going to say, is it called?
Like what would be the only part 2?
Passion of the Christ. 3 days. 3 days later.
No, I'm going to forgive that movie. At the end of it, it says to be continued.
To be continued. Well,
or what they did in Back to the Future, to be concluded. That would be better.
Jay, I'm still waiting for that video on all the bad films.
I know. I have been
it's
so
really
busy
bad.
Lately. I need to work on something like that.
It's
not a good list.
No.
We pulled up like 40 that are in production, and I think 36 were sequels that no one asked for. Like no one asked.
Remakes,
sequels, reboots. Like it's a rough looking 2025 for movies.
But that's it. They just got no backbone of hope. It's just like that. That's the problem. I've gone right off topic, but they just don't. They have their little. Oh, this makes like it's going to break us even. This is getting people getting jobs, and it's just like there's that one script. There's not just that one script. There's probably loads of script that were given by an unknown. They wanted to be a director as well, or whatever, and then they just got there. You go. No imagination like that to give that person that one shot. And I get where they're going for people like Moan, where you know, like a TV show or things comes out and they go, oh, this person doesn't like what have they done? But they're getting directed by what? They're getting told by what? The producers? Like it happens so much like the Disney shit on them a little bit, but they have so much of what they do. If it's Marvel, if it's Star Wars, but they give people a shot that have got a limited film like background or whatever, but they cock it up. But what they're cocking up is, well, you just cocked up the last thing is exactly the same. So are these people just trying to get their foot in the door and they take the first job? But that is sometimes the only way you can do, because they're not taking a punt on the original. There is no original. I say this and with the sequels, look at what this did. It's a B movie that carried on and gave us one of the greatest actors of all time. And we're going on to that later. But
one would say, hold on. One would say these sequels gave us 2 of the greatest actors of all time. We'll talk about that. There's another one buried in there.
I did not look into the sequels. I'm curious.
Oh my God, just don't.
You sent me down a rabbit hole with these films. You did.
It's great. There's a lot of people in these sequels and like that. I think I got up to when they went to space. I think that's where I go. But then there was offshoots of it, and like it got a bit it's a bit weird. I think there's like 5 official, and then people just took it and ran with it. There's a lot of like I wouldn't even call it have to be like D movies, I'm guessing you call them. It got a bit weird. And a
TV series, a limited run television series in Canada.
Wow, they really franchised the hell out of Critters, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
I just found one of the ones it gave us. No kidding. Huh. I would not have suspected that.
There we go. So we're going to go down. We are going to go down a rabbit hole. Love that. But back on track.
Back on track. No distractions.
There we go. So we're back at the farm, the Kansas farm, because everything happens in Kansas. You know, I would find it quite hard to put Kansas on a map, like just because I'm outside America. But it'd be in the middle. Boom.
I'll give you a hint. Think middle. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, middle. I'm just going to put middle.
You'll find it.
It'd be middle, just slightly to the right.
It's one of those rectangles, and it's very flat. Very flat. Yeah. Tornado Alley.
So we got Brad here with Charlie. Charlie, we find out from the sheriff just a little bit earlier. Well, though he's a drunk, he has got a job with the Browns at their farm. He's the farm hand, I suppose, like that. The dad's fixing one of the vehicles, but Charlie's playing with Brad, and Brad is using you call them firecrackers, is that right? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, that's easy.
They look a little bit more like what we call like an M80 or
I was gonna say that
they look
like cherry bomb, isn't it?
Yeah, they look like the M80s, which just make like a massive bang.
Don't ask me how I know that, but yeah.
So he blows up his B-wing, painted silver. I looked that up as well, see what it was. Apparently, if you had that now original, apparently it was an original one, that would be worth, let's say about $500 just out of box. So like when he blew it up, it was like, oh. So his dad gets annoyed, tells them both off and like, do you still want to work here? And then of course, as we're doing that, they have a little bit of things. Get on with it. The new boyfriend turns up, Steve, who we heard about earlier, in his fancy car. And it's whoever it is. It's the greatest Titanic actor.
Yeah, I was just going to link here. It's someone from one of Sandy's favorite movies of all time.
Oh God,
Billy Zane.
Billy Zane.
One of the million reasons why I don't like Titanic is him in it. There you go.
Oh, I like Billy Zane, and I actually like Titanic in general. I can't talk. But I do like Billy Zane.
I
think he plays that character well.
What's it? Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knights, and he plays like the head demon in it. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Is a bit like
no.
Oh, he is. It's the only movie you can understand he's acting. It's absolutely hilarious because he's so he's so over the top. He's good in it, but he's like, yeah, it's Demon Knights. Go and have a look at it. It's a good, actually a good little twist on the Tales of the Crypt. I think it was like their first or second like full length feature movie they did. So it's but the thing, not a great shot here. I think we might go. First thing, my girlfriend goes, "Oh, and he's got a ponytail." Because there's a little ponytail, like it's great. But yeah, it's Billy Zane, and like it's funny. It's just like Billy Zane with a lot of hair. It's like that. What was that? Oh, he did that superhero one as well. When what was it called?
The Phantom.
That's it, the Phantom. It's not bad. I didn't mind that. But anyway, so the dad, he takes like. He's must have a little bit of family money. His dad just gave him a brand new sports car. But whilst they're doing that, of course, once we got that explosion, Charlie and Brad are still messing around, and they're going to shoot a Coke can. And have you seen how many times Coke is in this movie?
I did. I noticed that the big sign when he's in the barn. There's a few other ones too. Yeah,
they've got a lot. Even when she opens up the fridge, it's like everything's there. A lot of beers and all that. But in this, like Charlie goes to shoot. Charlie misses and hits April right in the backside. Of course, right on the backside.
And I actually wasn't expecting that. I thought he was going to hit one of the windows of the car that was right there.
The window.
Like, yeah, that's what I was assuming. And I was like, I was not expecting it to turn out the way it did. That's for sure.
So, of course, and then it goes into, of course, another scene where it's the family scene of like he's in trouble. But like Brad actually does well. He takes he'll lose his job. He knows he's a bit simple. I'm guessing like that. Like Brad, like I forgot his name. What's the actor plays Brad?
Scott Grimes.
Scott Grimes.
he's actually quite good in this. Like,
he is.
I
he's the most one of the better actors.
Yeah. I thought the same. I'm like, wow, this kid actually obviously he's a grown man now, but like as a kid, this guy put in a really good acting performance. I thought he was pretty solid.
He's very mature.
I would say, best of the bunch, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. So he takes the fall for Charlie's accidental shooting, and then like the dad. I like this bit when the dad goes, go to your room without your dinner, and then like the mum goes, oh Jay, he's like, no, like that. And I think at this point my girlfriend was looking up the names, and she actually realized it was like his name was Billy Greenbush. And she just was like, boom, mind blown. His name was Billy Greenbush. Yeah, the father's name. That is a great name. That is a great name. Yeah, so that happens. And of course, he gets the room, like the father, of course, then comes up. He's getting ready for the bowling. Anybody recognize the bowling jersey colors? Anybody that much of a geek?
It was like a light blue and a pink, but it didn't stand out.
No,
I noticed the Ghostbusters thing they were doing on the back. That I noticed. But
it's from the animated. They did a salute to the animated Ghostbusters.
Oh, I didn't realize that was like a second layer to it. I noticed. I think it were the Pin Busters. I noticed the logo. Obviously, I didn't.
Yeah, there's so many like the director who this was his directorial debut. Literally just did little salutes everywhere like that. So like we have the ET bit later.
Yeah, I was gonna say we run into ET as well, which I assumed was just a shout out to the mom, D. Wallace, but sounds like it was kind of a little more than that too.
Yeah, and he just like played like with that bit with Star Wars. We just had he just literally played these little salutes, and I was like, that's quite cool. Like that. Cool. Like you have to be like that. But yeah, it looks so much Ghostbusters, and then that's why. Yeah, it was the color that was done. It was it's quite good. That the director just was like, you know what, people might reference it, but I'm gonna put some what I'm guessing they would, what they call it now, Easter eggs. But now it's just a little bit of plays. But we get that, and of course now we get back to the Krites. The Krites are en route to Earth. Where they're going to land? Of course, UFOs only land in America.
And they only land in cornfields.
Yeah. You never get like a movie where they like land in Estonia. I know we had one in South Africa. What's it called? The South African one. District 9.
Oh, I've never seen that. Is that where that takes place?
Yeah, that is good. Prawns.
Technically, in Independence Day, they array themselves, geometrically spaced around the Earth, so they didn't, they didn't fall for that in Independence Day. They were much more sophisticated aliens.
Okay, but who always saves the day in any alien invasion or any asteroid that's going to hit Earth?
An American. Well, we all know America's the center of the universe. Come on now, guys.
Galdorn, V was an amazing. Okay, Jay and James.
Original or new?
The original, but I mean, did you guys watch V? Because
yes,
I'm sure.
I never watched the new one, but I watched the old one.
My mom didn't mind the new one. I think I told you my mom was really into sci-fi, so watching the reruns of Star Trek when I was little. But then when V came out, we were glued. We loved it. JV stands for The Visitors, and I'm not going to say any more because what a cool concept and a really good show. Cheesy special effects, all that 80s 90s goodness. It was great. Galdorn, that was a great show. Unless you're making reference to Henry V, and that's a good one too, but the V for Visitors was really good.
I know which one.
There's a new book. It's like it's the biggest book I've ever seen, and now I have to get it because there's a new book. But
I'll have to check this out. This actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, look it up, V. I can remember all the.
It's one on my list to watch the new one because it's got the it's a lot of people's now top 10 good-looking women, isn't it? She is from Deadpool, the girlfriend
playing Diana.
Morena Baccarin. She seems to be in the newer one.
Yeah, she's in the new one. Yeah, so yeah. Well, I've heard it's not bad.
to Jay. Don't tell him what they really are. You don't want to be spoiled. You have to be surprised. So no more talk about V.
Okay. Go back. Let's go.
Wait, so should I watch the newer one or the older one?
Ooh, the older
Do
one,
the old one.
I like. Yeah, old one. Yeah, the new
Okay.
one. Yeah, I've not watched it. I'm going to. It's on my list. I'm half.
Okay. I'm check that out.
I think I'm just going through Stargate again, so I'm like 2 seasons till the end of that, and then so that's what I'm watching at the moment because there's nothing good on. Anyway, back to the crates or critters. So there's a noise outside, of course, and the dad goes to investigate, and after I thought Brad's on the trying to get out of the house, isn't he? Mm-hmm. And then we see the UFO. Of course, the only place it could land would be near 50 miles away from nowhere. And they go and have a look to things like that. At the same time, Charlie sees it go ahead with his again drinking as much as he can. And this is where I'm guessing the next scene is when they're going to investigate. This bit was cut again for TV, where they get the half-eaten cow.
Definitely not on television. Yep. Yeah. That's what made me really surprised when I watched it was, I don't remember this from television. And then I realized because it was American television, it wasn't cable. So they were edited.
Yeah, so I do like this bit because they go out and invest. And again, how do we make it dramatic? Fog machine, always. I guess in every UFO that's going to land in the dark has a fog machine around it. And then they go and, okay, let's get out of here. Don't tell mum, she'll get worried. And then they literally run past the spaceship, spacecraft. It's literally like it's there, and it's got glowing yellow or white, red lights on it, and it's just like, how did they not see that? It's so obvious. But plot, don't need it, because the plot now it takes a turn, and this is where this is where you can see people in the movies, like when they're at the cinema, just kind of were like, this is funny. It's not supposed to be scary, but they try and set it up that it's a little bit like, suppose like when the first Gremlins, like the Gremlins, the new batch, just takes itself for what itself. And I think like this kind of does it probably less than the Gremlins takes itself goofy. It tries to be serious, fun, goofy, but you're watching something that could be serious. And then of course we get back to Neelix. Looks like he's on the buzzer again to, I forgot her name, and I can't do blah, blah, blah anymore. Sally. Sally, that's it. And he's talking to Sally, and then I'm guessing he thinks is like a cat or something or whatever, goes across the road. He spins out of control, leaves it into a ditch, and then goes to investigate. And this is where we find out the critters have got a good attack device. They've got something, they got these needles that they can spit out. It gets him in the leg, and Neelix is gone. This Neelix is gone, at least, like that. So Neelix is our first casualties, except for probably the cow and a couple other livestock.
And you do honestly feel kind of bad for him too, because he was just trying to, get that date. She rejects him, and she rejects him pretty brutally too. Like, not if you're the last guy on Earth type of thing. And the character whose name we forget, but don't want to do the symbol for, and she just rejects him brutally. So you feel kind of bad for him. And the last thing you see is he just gets pulverized by a Krite.
Yeah, and
so they did well with it.
Yeah, and then of course in the next scene you get a B-movie direction classic of how you can make suspense like The Evil Dead did, with not showing the monster or whatever you're saying, is you are the monster, and they get that little bit low down,
that little camera
move into it, and it's literally, it's done in so many 80s movies. How can we make this cheap? Raimi did it like in Evil Dead, and it's good because it get like with the music.
It reminded me of Halloween a bit, because Halloween started.
Exactly. It's clever. It's cleverly done. It's just like how you get suspense up to, you can see them, they can't see you. it's like that, and you got like this little hum going on. I think it's clever, and of course, from that, the mum. This is where it starts going a little bit, as the Brits would say, a little bit Pete Tong, literally. So it goes from that to she breaks something like on the floor. She goes think, but she hears a noise outside near the bins, or what do you call him? What do you call it? We call them bins.
Cans, bins,
trash cans,
trash cans, trash cans, and then she sees just some eyes very quickly, and then the dad comes in. What's going on?
So do you know what that's a nod to? Red eyes in the window.
Oh no.
So I'm pretty sure, I'm gonna guess that the Amityville horror was before this film, and that was just kind of a psychological horror thriller, whatever. And one of the scenes, and the scene that kind of made the book cover and the film poster, were the red eyes in the window. So when I saw that, and that film always creeped me out, because this is a house that's attacking its owners, right? It's really the house. And that, it's not a Cape Cod, but that style of house with those half moon windows then became like really creepy to people. And those houses are all around here. And so as a kid, and I even had a relative who lived in a house like that. I was like, oh my gosh, the house is going to eat me. But when I saw those red eyes, I was like, Amityville Horror. I'm pretty sure that's where
I've not watched that for years. They did I've seen the remake.
I think I've only seen the Ryan Reynolds remake. I don't think I watched the original.
Yeah, it was not bad. Yeah, the original.
Yeah, I didn't hate the. I mean, I watched it when I was a lot younger, so I didn't have much of a
them movies, I think, are always better if you watch it when you're like 18, 20. I think when they get me out, you're like, oh, I'm not so scared. Like that. They need to be that psychological, like, woo.
Because it makes an impression on you. Like now that I'm afraid of half moon windows, right? I'm afraid because it's the house. There weren't critters or creatures. It was the house. It was like, okay, well, how do you run? Like, it's your house. You just go to another house. It just.
You get that. You like when I remember my grandparents had a basement. I can't remember what movie it was. They had like it wasn't like Nightmare on Elm Street, but it was a movie. Oh, was it Leprechauns or something? I can't remember what it was. And it used to freak me out going down them stairs just because I watched that movie. And I knew nothing was that. I knew that. I know, just like your brain just goes straight back to. It could be.
Yeah, it's just be. What if?
It is. It's great. I love that. But yeah,
I wouldn't take a bath, but I knew the Jaws. I knew that shark. The shark is not named Jaws, but I knew that shark was coming up the drain. Like when my mother filled up the bathtub, I knew that shark was coming up the drain. Now, the fact that I love the film Shark, the film Jaws today, is totally counter to the fact that I talk about all these films that I didn't get to see in the theater because I was too young. My parents took me to the theater to see Jaws when I was way, way too young.
This might be traumatizing.
Oh my Lord. I wonder why my kid won't take a bath, because the shark's going to eat me in the bathtub. That's why.
I bet your dad was just doing that. Down a bath.
He was a good sport. He probably was.
Oh, I would love it. Oh, imagine how you just put like a instead of a rubber duck, a rubber shark. that would be great. But let's say I bet but it is like this one isn't going to be psychological. But you got ones like how many kids probably didn't tried to keep awake after watching Nightmare on Elm Street. Just in case when they fell asleep.
Oh my gosh, that for sure. Yeah, that had to.
Yeah. Oh, that would freak
But those are great, right? Because they make us, those films, especially, I always say I don't like horror, but I'm glad I experienced it exactly what you said at the age that I did, because it kind of made your blood pump. It's fun to be scared. And
just Galadorn, your parents took you to way too young to see Poltergeist. That would freak you the hell out.
Yeah.
Because
you're not going to watch television anymore, though. That was to keep you from watching TV.
Yeah, but there was like certain channels, even in the UK, they would like really early, and they would cut off to that static. That's the snow.
Here,
and it's just like, oh my, Carol Ann.
Come into the light.
Oh my God.
Come into the light. All are welcome. All are welcome. I can't.
Especially when you see like who it is. That is like for like if you were in your teens still, Galador, that is freaky as because like I suppose you see him more in Poltergeist too, but the main guy, that is a freaky looking guy. You're like that is psychologically scarring. If you like, it's
So
like
that freaky little lady too. I don't want to see any old ladies that look like her.
Hello, I'm here. Go to the light. So flicking heck. Yeah, great ones. Though.
And
great.
the toys.
But what era are we talking
toys
about?
That start playing, but like
80s. Again, it's like
but
that.
they're memorable. Look what
they're
we're
memorable because what do they not have? What they do over top day, and Jay probably agrees. Too much CGI. Not
they
enough
don't have
practical.
CGI. It's practical.
Yeah, all practical.
Too much CGI and too much gore these days. Horror just went from trying to be scary to just gore. Like how gross can we make it? And it's ever since the Saw movies, I feel like that's what started the whole like switch to gore, and Hostel that came out in like 2006 or something like that. Like it just became how gross can we make these scenarios, which just defeated the purpose for me. I fell out of the horror genre years ago because of that switch, honestly.
Yeah, it needs to be. This is what a lot of people say about aliens. You get scared of Alien because you don't see the alien till right to the end, and that is what a great horror thriller is. You don't see the threat, you don't see the baddie, and that's what makes it good because your brain makes that shit up, and your brain can make it scarier until you see it, and then you go, "Oh, that's what I was thinking of," even though you probably weren't like that, but your brain just takes into it, and it is, like just saying about Alien when I forgot the ship's captain. Gonna bug me now. When he's going down, like just going down the things, and they're like tracking. Go right, and it's just like that moment. You just see that quick flash.
The flash.
Their hand. That's it. All you just see is the alien hand. That is it. It's great.
And you're on a ship, and you can't get out. That's the. It's the. Oh, sorry, we're going down alien, but the whenever for me, when you can mix suspense with claustrophobia in some way, shape, or form, or something you can't escape from, that's it. Like I'm done. And hey, throw in some religious stuff in there. That's it. That's the most scary kind of thing for me. But
so
as
Omen,
Omen, that
I would say
thing,
the last
Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, the last one that really kind of creeped me out, at least in terms of horror movies, watching them was The Conjuring, the first one, because it dives into some of that stuff, and that stuff always does kind of creep me out. But then I watched Conjuring 2 and the sequels. I'm like, it's worn off. It's not, it's not getting me like the first one did.
No, I'm gonna go for like that kind of freaky. Yeah, The Omen. I'm gonna have to go for like The Exorcist is freaky in a certain way, but you go like I think The Omen. How that is so dramatic, well drawn out.
It's
the
a
bits
kid.
like,
that's the thing.
And it's a
little kid. For now, till he grows up to be Sam Neill in the third one.
But oh my god, that's it. Off topic. There we go.
We've hit Sam Neill.
And that was the Film Club horror special.
Yeah, we maybe have to do it. But yeah, so the dad, of course, he goes to try and call the sheriff to tell him that what's going on. We found something going on, and then of course, then he goes wherever like the lights go off, so he needs to go to as Sandy said, grandma's switchboard,
grandma's fuse box.
Yeah, it's like that.
Fire hazard.
Whilst he goes down there, we fight. He goes, now it's right, and I think my girlfriend was like, "Why he put his hand out? You can see it's like a rodent or something."
That was gonna happen.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm like, even if that's you'd gotta assume like, all right, let's just say, oh, maybe it's a raccoon. Like you're assuming rabies. You're not putting your hand out to like it's chewing through wires. You're not just gonna
get a stick or something and poke it.
Like, even if you just assume it's a rat or a raccoon, like you're still not just putting. I mean, maybe a guy who lives on a farm might be more inclined to than I would, but I still think even he would be like, maybe I don't want to just stick my bare hand out towards this thing.
So yeah, he gets the first visual attack we can see, and they cling on. Let's say that, and they go for it. So he gets again shot with the spike pellet, and of course then we flip back to back to where Neelix is died. The bounty hunters come up, and then the other one now has found his match. It's the dead Neelix. So we got the bounty hunter going back with Neelix. So I think this is just the show that this is going to happen. It was, I think, just playing it, because then they go off and play back. And then, of course, we get back to where at the farm, we get Billy Zane with April doing the little bit of fun. Let's say
a cuddle, a roll in the hay, as they say.
Yeah, as they would say, a romp in the hay.
And of course, Billy Zane's gone. Like, I'm gonna find a good picture of Billy Zane, but he gets his stomach eaten out by one of the critters. And then, of course, whilst the screaming's happened, Brad, our hero, as he is, now upset. He runs to save his sister. And the guys, he uses one of the cherry bomb to get one of the critters. And this is where they're not taking themselves too seriously, because now the critter eats the cherry bomb. Like that. So it's like that. And then
and he doesn't even I expect him to explode. He just kind of burps up a puff of smoke and just kind of keels over.
That's it. Yeah. It's just like that. I always expect, like, I think I was like, there's going to be like this massive explosion, but they're like, no, just boom, like that. But and I bet you that was money. I bet you they'll be like, can we explode it? No, because we're going to have to reuse.
Yeah, just knock it over. Over.
Yeah.
That's true.
Slow down. So again, they get back, and of course, like, we'll say like, we get, and then of course Charlie goes back to the sheriff's, again telling my fillings. They've talked to, I've seen them, and of course they're like, well, where I think he's like he might be at the bowling alley. Like, I think this is where. So he goes, okay, but Harv, is it Harv? Isn't it the
I think so.
Harv.
Sheriff is Harv.
Harv. Yeah, so he might be at the bowling alley. And it's and then of course we get a nice little scene at church. So we get the kind of it's just silly. Like, again, it's like they've turned up. Of course, they've taken the police vehicle, was Neelix, and then they're driving it in reverse, of course, because they're aliens. So they don't know forward is forward. They just know reverse. They ram the chapel, the church. And then we're here for the crates. Like that. It's just like, again, it's just a bit of stupidity. It's just a bit of
This is where I found the bounty hunter story to just be very random and very kind of like, I don't understand why they're here, why they're showing up here, the bowling alley. They were just kind of showing up places just to freak people out.
They know they're there, but they don't know what they haven't got. Like, it's not like, I suppose, like modern where they have tracking devices on.
Yeah, like you would think they could track the ship, the landing zone, maybe a heat signature from the ship crashing into something, but no, they're just kind of roaming around town.
They have 80s
wait until they run into it.
Yeah, but that's it. The bounty hunters who are intergalactic, travelers have 1980s tracking for bounty hunters. They don't have anything modern. They don't have like drones they could look at. Yeah, it's literally we have beep beep beep. That's it. We're gonna go. Like, how blow stuff up, and we got this cool oversized weapon that retracts. That is it. That is all you got.
I don't know why it retracts, but it does. They made sure to let us know that it does.
There's multiple. That somebody works out how to do it, and they were like, yes, how to do it. And I bet you he's one guy above him just on a string doing that like that.
Honestly.
But we get that, and then of course this is our farewell to Neelix, because Neelix then of course turns into the Reverend. He, again, I'm guessing they have, like, maybe he's weak. They don't really go into it. I don't think they go into it in number 2, but he keeps on changing. So again, he's now the Reverend with a big gun. They destroy the piano. They make a bit of a mess, and off they pop again. But now we go back to the Browns, and of course they're dad's kind of half in and out of it, I suppose you want to know that. And the mum is an annoying mum at the moment. She's like, I hate to say it, this is your kids, and she just screams until later, but she's so annoying at this point. She's the
she's just like,
I don't know what
and
to
wants
do.
to take a nap. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. What do we do? What do we do? And I hate to say the one bit it's not just America, and I'm going to say that because the British have it. A farmer has a shotgun, and he only has one little how many 8 cartridge. It's like
I don't even know.
I
don't even know if he had that much. I think he just had 4 because he shoots the first 2 rounds, reloads, but I don't think we see the shotgun shot again until she does it, which is another 2 rounds. And then he says he's out. I'm like, dude, you had 4 rounds for your shotgun? That seems insane, especially in America. You think you'd have a lot
definitely.
more.
We usually have more ammo than that. Let me just say.
But he's got 3 rifles up there.
That too. It wasn't the only weapon up there, so I thought that was a little forced for plot.
It was to make sure. Oh, by the way, they're now screwed because they've run out. It was just a bit. Again, a bit.
And one thing Abe actually just pointed out in chat was the rolling of the critters, which. At first, I was like, that's a bit odd. But then I was like, it's for effects. It's cheaper. It's easier to make them roll than to try to make those things, visualize them walking around. Because even just standing there, they're practical. So it wasn't the easiest thing, I'm sure, to kind of make them move walking wise. Yeah. So this first time I saw the rolling, I'm like, that looks odd. But then I'm like, oh, that was actually a choice for budget because making a fur ball roll is way easier.
And I bet you they were shot in an angle, but it was downhill.
Yeah, most likely, or given somebody gave a good bowling roll or something to get them
to get bowling balls, in hair. It was but that's it. It's you don't get distracted for you. Like of course they would be. It's an easy effect to go that.
I also thought that they had some pretty good humor as well because I think this is the point where they were like, shit, they have weapons, and they all kind of roll off like so the crits not the crits. I was gonna say. It's the Krites, right? Krites and critters. I keep getting it mixed up.
Yeah.
The Krites were actually pretty funny when they do have the little bits of subtitle dialogue. It was honestly pretty funny. So I did enjoy that.
And I liked it. There was apparently it's a mixture of Japanese and French. The guy who made it, he actually made up the language. So actually, I was like, you made up their language, like between Japanese and French. But it's like, what is it? They have weapons. Who cares? Yeah. Oh shit! Fuck! Oh no! Fuck! And he rolls off. It's just
sorry. I think I cut you off there, Sandy. Were you going to say something?
I was going to give credit to the puppeteer, the person we have not mentioned. The important member of the crew cast is Edward Chiodo, who's the puppeteer who designed the critters and managed their movement. And then the critter voice was Corey Burton. Don't know who that is, but they are listed in the cast. And they deserve their credit too.
Yeah, both did good work.
Yeah, and when you look at them rolling and whatever, it's still they're rolling. You've finally gotten to see what they look like, but also there's usually some kind of light flashing, or it's dark, or it's the fall. So there's all these other things to distract. You're still not getting a really good look at what are probably look like scruffy stuffed animals. It's, it don't look real alive, but they do all these, nice little, as you said earlier, James, cheap tricks to keep your attention because things are happening fast. So it's okay. It's okay that these are not CGI'd monsters. I kind of didn't mind it. I thought, hey, this for what it is, it looks good.
It brings a level of charm to the movie in a weird way, where you can kind of appreciate the way that they did the things. Is it the greatest made movie ever? No, in terms of horror or anything like that or effects. But the use of practical effects, the way they do it, the things you can even pick up on and how they did it or why they did it, it does add a little bit of charm to to this style of kind of low budget horror film.
But I think it's also like they did a clever thing and not just making the critters or Krites just like an animal. They just want there to feed because they've got intelligence. They can fly a ship. They can operate things like they disarmed.
They speak. They think. Right. It's not just this animalistic behavior.
yeah, they've got a need to feed, but they're an intelligent being. So it's quite clever they do that. And then having, how the dialogue, and you got the subtitles, it just makes it a little bit, you're like watching a bit of spoof. It's not supposed to be funny. Not supposed to be taking themselves too serious, and then it becomes so funny. It's cleverly done, because if they, like I say, if they just were animals, I think this movie, you'd be like, maybe just like, it wouldn't make sense. Like, they just crash land, they escaped out of their pen or whatever, and then they just need to feed. That, I think that would have been a bit, but as they can talk, they can like have a bit of like play each other. Like there's the toilet scene. It's just silly. It's just silly, but I think it works because of that. And of course, you don't really see who they like, what they are. So I think it's good. But yeah, so we get the bowling scene. They turned up at the bowling alley. Of course, all Americans go to the bowling alley on a Saturday. They're all into leagues, I've heard. So
in the Midwest, it's another Midwest thing. That's what they do. Yes, everyone bowls, I'm sure.
Yeah. And of course, this one, Johnny Steele does his like grabs the bowling ball, like completely obliterates the balls, the pin, sorry, and they're like, whose team is he on? He just goes into where Charlie's having a drink, and where they know he's an alcoholic, they know things, but we'll leave you the bottle, just shut up, don't call
just don't bother me anymore.
Don't bother anyone, look, just do things like that. So he went there to go and find the sheriff, and he ended up drinking. Of course, then they get into a fight with two again, I'm jocks, I'm gonna call them, who think they're like, oh, look what you're wearing, blah blah blah, who do you think you are, what did you come from? Of course, I'm guessing the long hair, they're Californians or whatever,
so
but they're Midwest.
I thought at this point, because he obviously takes the form of a rock star, so I thought at this point this was going to be where everybody like assumed he was actually the rock star and was going to set up some other kind of thing. But they never really lean into that. So I'm not entirely sure why they specifically made a point to say he was taking the form of rock star. We get it a little bit later, but
later.
But even not in a way that really feels like it was important or anything. So I thought this was going to be the scene where, like, maybe some of the people in the bowling alley are like, Johnny Steele, it's Johnny Steele. And then they find out it's this, it sets up some whole other little thing, not a huge storyline or anything, but just a little wrinkle in the story of like, then they find out it's obviously not Johnny Steele. And even like in a few minutes from now, we hear the dispatcher at the sheriff's station saying, 2 men at the bowling alley. And like, I thought then she was going to say, one of them looks like Johnny Steele, and the other one's Charlie, and the other one's the Reverend. But like, again, they don't even really go that far. I couldn't really understand exactly why they did the whole, morphing into a rock star thing. It didn't make a lot of sense.
Just for the era.
I guess like just to like introduce 80s hair metal in an original song. Hopefully it makes, top 100 or something. I couldn't really understand it.
I don't know. Maybe it was released. I don't know. Mate. No. I should have done.
I've got it stuck in my head, so I don't think it was a terrible song.
But yeah, from that they smash it up. They call, of course, the incompetent sheriff. Wakes him up to tell him what's going on. What Joe just said. Yeah, there's by this time we get, and then again the Reverend, the other bounty hunter, now clones into Charlie, so he turns into Charlie now. He leaves. Then we kind of get back to the house. This is probably the first time we probably see the critters. They get upstairs. The Browns are now in full retreat into one of the rooms after a little skirmish. There's a bit of back and forth, and then they're trying to barricade them in one of the rooms. After the mum gets shot again in the jugular. They get carried, everybody gets upstairs, and I find it funny when Brad, just before this, takes the shotgun to go, and he's about to shoot one of them who's like eating his way through the sofa, and he goes to shoot and he like completely misses, goes on like one of the trips up on something, I can't remember what it was, and then shoots the the fan above, and the fan then comes down and kills the critter. It's just it's just like a little bit of that's
that was really a bad like that fan wouldn't have that just no.
It's just a little bit again. This is where it gets into a bit of just a bit of silliness. So it's like that. So we get and then of course they're barricaded in, and then we get them eating a fish. They're all having a bit of fun. Like the dialogue on this is just again, this is where you would get it as what Jay said earlier, like it feels like Gremlins, because it would be like something what Gremlins would say, and then like of course, how are you, and it's just a play on E.T. from the main one, D. Wallace being in it. But I'm guessing was it 85 E.T.? I can't remember. It's 85, 84.
I thought 84, but I could be wrong.
So it's just a nod, I'm guessing.
82 actually.
82,
82.
I thought it was later. So that, and it just goes in things, and then of course Brad, we'd see there, he gets again, he steps up. I need to get out because mum and dad are injured, and he steps up to the thing to get onto his bike, and then literally go and find help. And he comes across, lucky enough, in the middle of the road, in the middle of nowhere, the two bounty hunters in the police vehicle. And he believes, of course, one's Charlie, the other's Johnny Steele. And this is, I say, like Jay, this is the first time you hear him.
Yeah, this is the only
Johnny Steele.
Apparently, it was only him who recognized a big rock star, I guess.
Yeah. So again, that is probably the only time you really hear it. And then, of course, once Charlie, the bounty hunter Charlie, realizes he doesn't remember where he lives or doesn't know, he's like, "Who are you guys?" And he's like that. So it's like playing on it. And then, of course, back at the house,
I'll make you a deal. You help us, we'll help you.
It's just,
I like the kid.
And it's like things, but he steps up to it again whilst the Browns are fighting it. And this is where I don't know why. Once you see, like, we missed out, like one of the gremlins, one of the critters is growing, and he grabs April through the chest of drawers, and then the mum steps up and gets really angry. Why? Because I just got really angry. And then she steps up to the plate. It's just like, and there's no reason to it. Like, she then shoots one of the critters through the door, and then she becomes invigorated, I suppose, like, I'm going to be the hero for my family. It's like it's just a bit silly again. But it's I don't know if it was to the point where we're like, they got to we kind of need to wrap up the movie, don't we? Because this is how are we going to end this?
How are we going to end this? How are we getting out of this?
And because it's like, okay, if he comes across the bounty hunters, he'll bring the bounty hunters back. So that's what he does. The bounty hunters come straight in, start destroying everything, like with their like oversized weapons. They're now hunting the critters. Mum and dad and April come downstairs. They go outside whilst the bounty hunters, with Brad in tow for some reason.
Yeah, Brad just tailing along on the entire time. I couldn't really understand that.
And then they're going upstairs, room to room, and toilet to toilet. It's just silly.
It's like, look at the little feet sticking out. It was so silly.
It was. But I would say, like, again, they're not taking themselves serious. Like, the critter, he knows the bounty hunters can't be messed with, and he's trying to escape through the only exit he found. That's the toilet. So it's just like, it's silly. But this is like, he got caught on fire. Like the dad, like there's a scene, isn't there, where we miss, like, they're doing,
that's
like,
right.
The lighter.
And he jumps in.
It's do you know what it reminds me of? Is the Two Towers.
Oh, when
with the entry is on fire. I always love that scene. He just dunks. I just watched that the other week with my wife, and as soon as that part came on, I'm like, this is one of my favorite parts in the whole trilogy. It's just like a good little bit of comedy that slipped in there. He just runs in and dunks his head into the water.
It is brilliant. That exactly. Like every time I go, yeah.
I love that part. I don't know what it is about it, but I love that part.
I think everybody does. It's just so good. He just comes on. He just like from the back, his massive like they panned out so much, and all of a sudden from the left, he's like, whoop, jink.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
But yeah, so from this, Brad's upstairs doing his thing. He's after his cat. What we didn't say, Chewy. His cat's called Chewy.
Yes, Chewy.
Another mark to it.
Yep.
Yep. And then April is out the thing shouting up, Brad, like that. And then you hear some off camera, some screaming. We don't know what is going on. And then of course, the big critter, they're now escaping from the bounty hunters back to their ship. I don't think did they say in this one? I can't remember. Like, I'm getting confused with critters too. But did they say they're taking her for a snack?
I was assuming that because when the film began and they mentioned that like 10 prisoners were on the transport, but there's only 8 now. And they're like, what do you mean? Well, the crates got hungry and we fed 2 of them or whatever they were talking about at the beginning. So I was assuming they were taking her for a
I think that would make sense because I couldn't other than that, I couldn't understand why they wouldn't they'd be taking her outside of just like they needed to set up a heroic moment. Because they seem to just be eating everything else in sight. So I couldn't really understand why they were taking her unless it was for something like that, like food storage or something. I don't know. I'm not sure.
So yeah, the critters are now off. They're heading towards their spacecraft, and then we get very bad picture there, but you get the critters. They're in there, but Brad and Charlie are Charlie's come there like out of nowhere, to kind of help. He goes, where is April there? And then of course, Brad rescues his sister, gets her out, and then he stays to do like a big cherry bomb. It's not even a cherry bomb. It's a bomb.
Yeah, it's a Brad drops what looks like a bunch of those M80s stuffed into like a tube, but like it looked like a paper towel roll, to be honest with you. It's something he had made earlier in the movie because he obviously likes to play with fireworks and all that. So he like had whatever he made, which I assume was just a bunch of the M80s together. He drops it on the way. Like that was going to be his weapon to use to save the sister. But then he accidentally drops it on his way out. And then Charlie comes up with the idea of, let's, throw the cocktail in there.
Yeah. So he's got his, of course, whiskey. He goes to throw it and he aims brilliant. Now I purposely missed that, but why was he shot so good? Why did he throw so good? Do you remember?
No.
Earlier in the movie, there was a conversation that he
he was a pitcher.
He was a pitcher.
That's right. I didn't even catch that till now.
Yeah, there was a whole thing, and
he was a big prospect and all that. Yes, that's correct. I forgot all about that.
That's why, and he lost it, and that's why he kind of thinks that's why he went to drink. Of course, that's why he went to things. But he was going to make it, but he never did. Yeah, he was a prospect, and then something happened. I can't remember what they said exactly, but that's why he was such a good shot like that. Because make sure you know how to throw. So he gets a throw. The craft goes up in the air. I do find it funny because the craft gets over the Browns' house and then literally takes a shot and blows it up, and then
they all just laugh. Yeah, I did get a good kick out of that.
It's like 2 fingers up. Last thing we're gonna do, man. And then of course, that blows up, and then their craft blows up at the same time, and that's the end of the critters as we know it. The crates are dead. So everybody's looking at their house and all that, and of course, it's completely destroyed. And they're all a bit sad. The bounty hunter, for some reason, like the Johnny Steele character, has kind of like taken to Brad, kind of a little bit, but like he doesn't say much. But there's certain bits into it. So he gives him his belt, like a device on his belt buckle, doesn't he? He goes, "Call me." And the next scene, it jumps really, really quickly to like morning. I don't know, like it's really like pitch black night. They get back to the Browns. What in the sequence before was probably like 30 seconds. So it's now daytime or morning time. And then of course the alarm goes off. And I like this bit. I do. I think it's quite good. I think it's a little bit like how they, again, it's cheap effects, like putting everything in reverse, is literally they reverse rebuild the house. I don't know how, but who cares? It just happens.
Yeah, it works. I thought this little communicator looks like a garage door opener. That's what.
Yeah,
like,
it probably was.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what's the name in Phantom Menace, where what's the name? I forgot his name. Oh, God, terrible. Using a Gillette woman's razor for the communicator.
Oh yeah,
so,
you know what it kind of actually looks like? Do you remember the iPod Nano from back in the day, like the iPod with the wheel on it, but the smaller version? It kind of looks like an upside down iPod Nano.
So for that wasn't invented yet, so we can let them.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it definitely wasn't that, but it looks like one.
Yeah, it probably was what Sandy said, just a garage.
Yeah, most likely just some random little.
But yeah, I don't, and even to the point where, like, again, Chewie gets dragged into it, and then he ends up into the
mailbox.
Yeah, and everybody's so everybody's happy. Charlie's now run off with the he previously ran off with the bounty hunters, and then you get the dramatic effect.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because there's eggs being left. Dun dun dun. End of movie.
eggs that will last for sequels all the way up to 2019.
Yes,
as
seriously.
I just saw on IMDb.
No.
So I have a question for you guys, or more so, this was my first thought, and I'm wondering if you guys thought of it too. So as this movie ended, my very first thought was, does anybody care that Steve is still laying in the barn dead? He is totally forgotten about. He is entirely forgotten about. The girl who was his girlfriend doesn't care. His car's still there. Like, Steve's still a person. He's still a person who just died and all this, and nobody gives
cares.
two craps about Steve or the fact that he's literally laying dead in the barn behind them.
No, but you actually think about it, there's only two people who actually die: Neelix and him.
Yeah, and him. Yeah. And nobody cares about either one. Neelix is still on the side of the highway
a fish,
somewhere.
A chicken, and a easy doll. That is it. That's who dies. And a cow.
And then poor Billy Zane and Neelix.
Yeah. But look at that. The budget. What's it? That's like what, 1.5?
$3 million. But actually, I thought it was a little high myself.
Yeah, I was going to say that's about $2 million more than I thought it would have been.
So $3 million for and it is considered a success. It made 13 million worldwide. There are critical reviews out there. I always look at Siskel and Ebert, who are kind of the stalwarts of American criticism at this time. Mm-hmm. And they both gave it thumbs up, which meant, hey, recommend. Not memorable, but they, it's like it. I think you Brits say it does what it says on the box. Like it, it is what you expect.
On the tin. On the tin.
Now that the 4 quote movie sequels, film sequels, and there was a television series in Canada. But Leonardo DiCaprio is in one of these films. Angela Bassett is in the next one. And I don't know if you all know Anne Ramsey. I mean, she's just one of those perennial, showing up in a film and doing a great job, a theater actress, really. I know her from A League of Their Own, but there's a whole host. She plays Helen, the first base woman who gets the letter herself during, while they're playing, that her husband's been killed. But
okay, yeah,
she's a stage actress. She's just known for everything. But they all got their starts in this crazy series of films.
If you actually put Leonardo DiCaprio, Leonardo and the Critters, it's like him with the big, The puppet is just hilarious. Yeah, but not a good movie.
Unbelievable. So yeah, certainly did leave its mark. But so let me read off some other film. Again, talking about what we can expect in oh, this website's going freaky. What we had in 2020. Why is this not working? What we had in 1986.
20? Yeah.
My screen got stuck. So, number one film, 1986, Top Gun, Crocodile Dundee, Karate Kid Part 2, Star Trek 4, Color Purple, Back to School, Out of Africa, Aliens. Oh my God. Again, then there were films from 1985 that were still in the theaters throughout 1986, so that they still ranked in 1986. Back to the Future, Platoon, Rocky 4. The Golden Child, then we go down the line. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Spies Like Us, Stand By Me, the animated American Tail, White Knights, which I love, Poltergeist 2, Short Circuit, Pretty in Pink, The Fly, Three Amigos, Little Shop of Horrors, and on and on.
Can we do that? So you did Three Amigos. Everybody has to do that, don't they?
Yeah. But just look at all, and this film was number 69 for the year. So think of all the 68 films ahead of it. There's not a film here that I wouldn't go see. Jumpin' Jack Flash, Hoosiers, Wildcats, The Great Mouse Detective. Oh, I love that one. I did. I watched that one. Iron Eagle. A Room with a View. Oh my God, A Room with a View. That was so good. Flight of the Navigator. Someone mentioned that not too long ago, I think.
I think it's on our list, isn't it?
Legend.
Yep.
And then Critter,
Tom Cruise Legend.
Tom Cruise Legend. Yeah. Labyrinth, which is worse every time you watch Labyrinth. It gets worse.
I just saw something recently about Labyrinth that I think the director who just did, the one who just did Nosferatu is going to be doing a sequel to that, which I thought was weird.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
It's the age of sequels, I guess.
Wow. I don't know. Yeah.
But you could have just walked into a cinema anytime on a weekend, not knowing, not even reading the newspaper, just go, and there's plenty to choose from and plenty to see. And this film was a as the critics say, a good solid B movie, a good, as you'll say, entertainment.
Yeah, but it's what I'm saying, like you're going to go, even if it's cinema or as you say on TV, as like that, or your computer these days. You're not disappointed. You get what you get, and you just, I'm guessing for Jay, it's probably like, what did I just watch? But I'm not disappointed I watched it, and I'm hoping you're not disappointed you watch it, but still, I don't get what I just watched.
Honestly, you're kind of capturing my reaction perfectly. Yeah, it was pretty much that.
Yeah, and that's why even now I'm like, I just like my girlfriend is like, I just like it. And we were like, yeah, we don't know why. It's one of those ones you just like, it's not bad. It ain't good though, but I still kind of liked it. It just, but I think it's because it's short and it's compressed, and they literally just, what's going to happen, but they just do it clever. And I think it's a clever B movie. But as I said, you get them B movies, you're like, oh, that's terrible. This one you can enjoy it. And we funny enough, before this came on, and I said to my girlfriend, I was like, oh, criticism coach. She went, we watched the end 20 minutes the other day. And I went, yeah, we did. And I was just like, because it came on and we just was like, oh, we're waiting. Like, instead of flipping through, we were just waiting for it. So we just watched the last 20 minutes because it's not an offensive. It's not something you go, oh, I hate this, turn it over. But it's not great that you go, it's a classic. But when you watch it, you're like, you know what? I actually enjoyed that. I don't know why. I just don't know why I enjoyed it. But that's what cinema is. It's like you get them ones you're like, it's fun. That is what cinema is, and this is what I like about this movie, because it's just pure fun. It's go to the cinema and watch something and come out and go, that made me smile. That was silly, wasn't it? But it made me smile, and that's what cinema is. And I think we had a discussion earlier. I think that's what a lot of people have forgot. Don't take yourself too serious. This didn't, but it did it in a good way. If they had the practical effects like today, and this kind of, just give it a shot. It's funny, it's silly, it's bizarre, it's critters in space. Alien hamsters come down, make a ball, get hungry in Kansas. Like, pitch that today, the people are going to laugh you off. But now, yeah, it's great. I just found it. I like put it like, I think this is probably one of there's only got to be a couple of B movies on our list. But when this came out, I was like, great, because it's not something you go back to. You know what? I'm going to watch Critters this year. But when you do, you're like, that was, I forgot how much fun. It's not great. It's just a fun movie. So I might as well go on. I would recommend it. Now, I think it's going to be, if you go by, it's a, for a movie, it's going to be like a 4 or 5. You're going to go for a movie like that, but then you up it up because it was just fun at the time. So then you just go, I'm going to go like, you have to go like 6.5. I'm going to go for it just because of the enjoyment. It's not a classic. It's just, I enjoy the movie. It's like that, but I know it's a B movie. I know it should be downgraded, but I was smiling all the way for it. And I was waiting for the bits that I liked. I remembered, and I just kind of like it put like a smile to my face. So yeah, it's funny. It's like it's Gremlins horror, but not horror in like that. And then I would recommend watching the next one. Just because
I almost kind of want to, honestly, just to kind of see. There's no shot I make it all the way to the 2019 one, but I almost kind of want to watch that one and the one with Leo just to see how that one played out.
Yeah, the next one gets very silly. They get, let's say they find a burger factory. So I think it's like a frozen food factory like that. So they get into that, and there's a very, very bizarre scene. And I can't remember there's a zombie movie. So I think it's Z Nation where they do it, where they have a ball of zombies, and they like the zombies get attacked in like a massive ball, and they start eating as the ball rolls. That happens in the next movie, but with loads of critters. It's very bizarre. So I would recommend it. It gets a little bit silly. So Jay, I'm going to let you out, and then Sandy let you go. So it's a recommendation. It's a thumbs up for me, but yeah, Jay, as it was your first time, go.
Yeah, no, honestly, you kind of captured my thoughts there as well. It's not, if you go on an analytical scale, it's not a well-made movie. It's, it's probably a 4. If you were to give it a little less, I wouldn't, 3.5, like I wouldn't argue anything like that either. 3.5, 4. It's not a foundationally great movie or anything like that, or even a good one. But it was weirdly good fun. I enjoyed the watching experience. I don't even know why or how to explain it. A little bit of the 80s stuff was just really fun to watch. I've always appreciated the era of the 80s. I think although I wasn't in it, I think it was a great decade, and I like a lot of stuff that's come from it. So I always appreciate some 80s nostalgia, especially when it's authentic from the 80s, not something now trying to do the 80s. So from that aspect, I liked a lot of that. And yeah, I honestly, I don't even know how to explain why I enjoyed watching it, but I did enjoy the viewing experience there. It's cheesy. It's, like you said, it's not taking itself too seriously, which I think is good for movies like this, where if you felt like it was trying harder to take itself seriously, it wouldn't have hit the way that it, does, because it doesn't take itself too seriously. I know I said that in a very confusing way, but if that makes sense, however I just said it, if it was trying to be more horror, it would have been like, oh, this is kind of cringe. But the fact that it's just like, no, we're just going to make a goofy, silly movie with some horror elements to it in terms of like the story itself. But like, again, they like the little critters were making funny little banter with one another. Like the critters themselves were funny. So like, it wasn't trying to take itself too seriously. It was trying to be funny in that regard. So yeah, it's weirdly enjoyable. I think that's the best way I can put it. It is weirdly enjoyable. I would recommend watching it. I wouldn't recommend it as like, this is a fantastic movie you have to watch. I would just recommend it as you'll have a good laugh, and it's an enjoyable, quick little watch. There's not, nothing more to it. Like you said, you get what you get with it.
Yeah, but I was to break it in there. You could understand back in the days, Sandy said, when you like, let's say you like a new girlfriend, new boyfriend, or whatever, and then you went to see the cinema. like, oh, let's see this. It's supposed to be a playful horror. This is a good backseat one, isn't it?
Like, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for the 80s, it is. So yeah, but that is probably where it's a weird enjoyment. Critters is a weird enjoyment.
It's a weird good watch or a weird fun watch.
So you recommend it? What's your score?
Yeah, then? I would give it about a 4. I don't think I'd go lower because I don't think it's like offensively bad or anything. There's silly stuff. The writing's not very strong. There's stuff that's just like done and forgotten about. The bounty hunter's journey to getting to the farm is pretty random and doesn't make a lot of sense. They just entirely forget about Steve, which is odd to me, and Neelix and things like that. But
I didn't even think of it until you mentioned it.
Yeah, they just. I think they forgot, and I think they were hoping that the audience would forget too. I think that was the goal because they totally forget about poor Steve, who's just rotting away behind them the whole time as they're celebrating their house being rebuilt. So it's not the best written movie or anything like that. But yeah, I give it about a 4. But it's a weird 4 in the sense of, typically if I'm going to give a movie a 4, I'm going to find it hard to say, yeah, you should watch this one. It's good fun. But this is a weird one where it gets a low score, but I would say watch it. It's good fun. Why not?
Yeah. Yep. Completely. It is. It's weird, isn't it? Your brain just goes, I don't know why.
I shouldn't like this, but I do.
Your entertainment.
Yeah. Sandy, go ahead. Because I'm guessing you watched it before, and I bet you're like, I did your little like when the critters came up on the wheel. It was like, critters.
Like, how did this get here? But I'm glad it did because like the two of you, this is just good entertainment. It was formulaic. It was predictable. And I think like you, Jay, I would give it a 4, but I feel like that's probably not fair. I feel like, in sports we have different leagues. And this is not in the big leagues, this is in the B league. So I think among B movies, this is probably a 6. I think, for what it is, I think it deserves just a wee bit more credit because there are some pretty bad B movies out there. It is short, so it's a fast watch too. So you don't ever feel like it's dragging. And I think that also helps to say, oh, this is an okay film because there's not much to say poorly about it. Like everything we've talked about has been, praise for, in consideration of the state of special effects at the time and in consideration of, well, it felt like it ripped off Gremlins, but it really didn't. It was written before Gremlins. So I give it a 6 for doing what it said, on the tin, as they say. It also makes me think I want to put a few more. I want to put a few B movies on the wheel because I have my favorites. I've mentioned those old Vincent Price films that they're not really scary because they lean more into comic than scary. But again, for what they were for the time, and I need to learn more about Vincent Price because I always wonder, like, he was a very famous, classically trained actor who fell into all those Edgar Allan Poe horror over the top roles, like where he was hamming it up. And I always wonder I don't think that was really him. I think he was really being asked to ham it up. So I need to look a little more, but he's in several of those. And the one I like is called Theater of Blood. So I think we need to put, Highlander. I think we need to put a few of those on the wheel. And then there's one.
We should have maybe a section that is love, but you shouldn't. Like I like
guilty pleasures.
Guilty pleasures.
I know it's terrible. Every time it's on, I can't stop watching it. It's called Ghosts of Mars. It's a terrible. It's not like I think it's got like it's like it's got a rapper in it. I can't remember the rapper's name.
Okay,
like a 90s rapper, and it's terrible, absolutely terrible, and I can't stop watching it. Every time it's on, I'm like, this is absolutely shocking. And I just sit down and I watch the bloody thing. But there's movies like that. There's movies you're like, I kind of like it. Ice Cube. That's it. Ice Cube.
Is
it it's going to be a bad movie with Ice Cube in it. I just saw that there. Thank you very much.
But it's like I would put B movies in one category, like, cheaper made, simpler movies, but then I would put the so bad they're good in a different category from that. Like I don't necessarily like the B movies I like. The other one I'm thinking of is there were a lot of those, pseudo horror in the 80s for all the kids who are now in the theaters, and then all the blockbusters that were popping up in the VHS stores. All those little teen wannabe horror films, where you have the formulaic, damsel in distress. You got to have some frontal nudity. You got to have all that, those normal things. But there was one called Midnight Offerings, and it was 2 teenagers in a high school, and they were witches, and one was the ultimate bad witch of ever.
What's this called? Sorry, what was this?
Midnight Offerings. One was the ultimate bad witch, one was the ultimate good witch. They didn't know it because they were both playing it down. They figure it out, and then the whole school has to take sides, to okay, who's going to destroy whom. And this is way before Buffy the Vampire Slayer and all that other genre, but it was just another good, spooky late at night film, to watch, and there's so many like that. And part of it is also nostalgia. I'm sure there are people around more so my age, because I'm older than both of you, that just remember those, those old Saturday night on the local television station. They would just run the not top movies. And if you had nothing better to do, you just turned it on and you watched it. And I think it's more like comfort food than good film. So I'd like to take another look, and I'd also like to have other people's opinions on those B movies that I like.
You get the old Hammer horror, don't you? They're not good. Even Dracula, I know that's probably the famous one they got, just because of the cast on it now. That it's not a good movie.
We would call them corny,
but you still watch them. You still you still enjoy it. So yeah, there are like I said, what I said, Demon Knights. It's a really really set really low bar, but it's very entertaining, and I think that's what sometimes B movies do. You think about Evil Dead's a B movie. Everybody loves the Evil Dead. It gets better and things like that, but it's there are ones out there, but there's ones that you just have a guilty pleasure. And I think that's the one where you you know what? I'm going to watch that tonight. And if you don't tell anyone, everybody asleep. Yeah, I'm putting
because they'll think what's wrong with you?
Are you weird? Yeah, are you a bit odd? Yes, I am. And I'm a geek and I'm a nerd and I'm very proud of it. And that's the thing is you ever get it when you're I like this movie, and then somebody goes, oh, so do I. Oh my god, I know, right?
That's why you have to talk about them, because then you get other people's opinions, and sometimes they validate your own, and sometimes.
And I think that is when I'm gonna go completely off. That's why the internet has done great. It's brought us together, but even back when it was Star Wars and Star Trek, there was the divide, and then you started talking in forums, and everybody's we like the same stuff, we're into the same stuff. Do you like gaming? I like gaming. What kind of games do you like? And it just turned out, and then of course you have the other sides of the internet, the dark side. But that is what's great. That's it. It's it's shrunken the world, but it's also but yeah, we go Midnight Offerings. But it's great that we can talk as geeks and nerds about that. But the thing is, you can guarantee in chat somebody will watch this now. Not me, maybe not Jay, but somebody go I like that. I like it.
This was 1981, and it was Melissa Sue Anderson, who was also at the time on Little House on the Prairie.
Wow.
And then the other person is Mary Beth so the one in the photo here is Mary Beth McDonough, and she was on The Waltons. So for both of these actresses, this was way out of their, they were both playing wholesome characters on television, and then they get into this, two high school seniors eventually trying to kill each other. I won't tell you how it ends. It's actually interesting. It was it rated on IMDb? I'd be interested to see how we treat these, because you know what? Okay, it gets a 5.8 on IMDb, but who cares about
what did
IMDb?
critics get? Let's
see.
What's actually interesting?
I was just looking somewhere in the 6s. I was just looking at it. I was looking at the list of actors. So actually not a bad. I mean, a 6 is pretty good. I think people always look at a 6, I feel like, as if it's bad, but it's like
6.1
out of 10. Like not many movies make 10, so you really should adjust like your expectations from 9 down. And to get a 6, I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, I always work at 5 and then work either way.
Me
I
too.
find 5 to be fine. Like 5 is fine, 5 is adequate, and then
I always start a movie at 5, and then if it goes up,
I see what you mean.
And then it goes down. Yeah, and that's it. So I don't think it's going to be. I'm never going to give something a perfect. Very going to be that I
don't think I've ever given a 10. I'm not even sure if I've given one.
I don't know. So we've talked about The Godfather, and we all gave it a 9 fairly, but we'll have to see when Citizen Kane comes up. We will have to have a really good discussion because, okay, we want to be sparing, of course, with our ratings, but cinema has now existed almost 100 years. Well, cinema as we know it, 100 years. Film longer than that. There has to be one. There has to be one, maybe, and so
that's Highlander. There only can be one, not Highlander like Braveheart.
No, for Highlander it's Braveheart. Just kidding. Highlander.
We got extended edition. 10 is a 10.
That's fair. I mean, I'm not going to make a huge argument against it. I can understand that, honestly. I do love those extended editions.
It's a 10 for me. So you're not
Highlander.
saying,
what is wrong with you, Highlander? I mean, Highlander. You're my very first mod on my channel. What is wrong with you that Godfather is a 4 or less?
A 4.
Oh, here he goes.
What?
Yeah.
Godfather a 4 or less?
Now this is called what I call trolling. I don't like Godfather. Oh, okay.
Wow, that is shocking, Highlander.
Uh-huh.
You're still invited to the next film club. Don't worry.
I know, but...
Damn it! I was just banning. Everybody's silent.
What do we call it? Mandatory, like if
well,
you're
not
sentenced...
for nothing though, but that's kind of why I love doing these discussions. Because it's all subjective and people have completely different opinions on things, and I love to hear opinions like that, and I love to get the reasoning as to why.
Split a lot of except for some, we've been split like where I can't understand it. I'm like, I just don't get it. I didn't like it, and then you guys exactly saying like, I really didn't like it, and like that. We've not had ones where we've at the moment we've not had one where we've all gone, why is that on the list? I don't think there's always going to be one, but
no, I don't think so.
But we that is what movie is like. We can enjoy.
That's the beauty of movies and just being a nerd. Honestly, having these kind of conversations and different opinions.
He likes the Untouchables. Oh my God, Highlander out.
But hold it. You don't like it because it's so historically inaccurate.
For me, both the historical inaccuracy and the god awful performance of both Sean Connery and Kevin Costner. I hate them both in that film.
I just found that movie. I was recommended that movie as like so good, and I just found it to be very boring. I was very underwhelmed by that movie.
No, it's Sean Connery playing a Scottish person. He's putting an Irish accent on.
It's horrendous.
I see, and I didn't even catch that because I'm not always the best with picking out accents. I just found it to be.
I'm sure he's supposed to be an ex-Boston copper.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah. And he just played, but then you say we'll say about Highlander, terrible music. Highlander, he's playing a Spaniard, isn't he? Who is like but moved to Egypt. I can't remember. It's just like that, but
but you know what? It's so over the top. It's great. It's so over the top. It's great. There's nothing wrong with Highlander, but there is definitely something wrong with Highlander. You know what I'm saying?
But we've got, and we're gonna have to get Jay on that because I guessing there's going to be movies. We're going to do it on my other thing where me and Sandy's always said we're going to do a top 10 movie historical inaccuracies, and it'd be good to get those 10 and then get you to watch them. And then I actually liked it or didn't like it because of movies, and then me and Sandy be like,
and then having the historical side
because of this.
I'd be down to do that. Absolutely.
It does color my opinion of film. Like The Untouchables, I probably could get past. Although, let me say this, I saw it in the theaters way before I was this into history. I was probably a teenager when it came out, and I just couldn't stand Kevin Costner. Like, I really had a thing for Robin Hood, just because I love Alan Rickman so much, and I love the story of Robin Hood, that Kevin Costner's portrayal just pissed me off.
A spoon?
And like halfway through the film, he drops his accent, and it was just couldn't stand it. So I think from there, like I really expected to see, okay, what's everybody talking about? This guy is the most praised actor of his time. You know, Kevin Costner was hot commodity, but man, was he bad in The Untouchables. And then compare, you know, and then you had the other, like, I guess the third good guy. Let's put De Niro on the other side, you know, but the third good guy being Andy Garcia. Stop it. I think Andy Garcia.
I'm going to back up. I'm going to back. It's not a cinema masterpiece, but I can enjoy Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves for what it is, even though it's not what it's supposed to be. But it's only good if you take Alan Rickman out of that. It's probably not as good.
Nope, I'm not going to watch it, but I do watch it for Alan Rickman because Alan Rickman.
No, I know Sandy doesn't like this movie.
Now Hollander's just he's trying to make me like remove him as my very first mod because here we go.
JFK.
Well, now the files are released, so we're going to see how historically.
Yeah, fair enough, right?
There we go. So, what is it? I watched something on like a documentary about how the making of it, and I always forgot somebody's in it. Oh, I can't remember the name now. And then I play a comedian in it, like normally, but it's things. Oh, how can you not like Bull Durham?
Because it's boring.
I've actually never seen that one, so I don't have an opinion on it.
Because he did Bull Durham. What was the other one? He did
Field of Dreams.
One. And then there was another one, wasn't there? Where it was a picture, like a
yeah. I know. I can't remember. Tin Cup. Yep, that's it.
No, Tin Cup's the golf one, isn't it?
Yeah, but there was one near that too. They were all around.
Oh, what was it? There was another. He's done a couple of baseball ones, but like there was one. I can't remember. But they're not good. They're like watchable, but they're not great. I say it. They're like there's better baseball ones out there. Like very much. Like I think we've got one on our wheel.
We know we've got two. We've got Sandlot and we've got Eight Men Out. No, we've got three because we've got 8 Men Out.
Did Sandlot make our list?
I hope it did.
I hope so too. I love that movie.
That
was like a childhood memory type of movie. I love The Sandlot.
If it's not, it should be.
But saying what's on our list, I think it's time to make sure Braveheart does not come out.
Let me verify. Braveheart, did it sneak on the list? No, thank goodness.
My God, should we check?
I just did. I had.
I didn't put it there. So
if anybody did that, or like Highlanders hacked our,
we need to add Sandlot, and we need to add. There's a few more. We need some. Okay, so
and I've been meaning to add Moneyball as well as we're thinking of baseball movies. So there's a couple we should probably add.
Moneyball. I like. It's a very American film. For some reason, I really enjoy that movie.
Moneyball,
enjoy it. I haven't got a clue what's going on. I do like. I'm not a baseball fan. I don't really get the game.
It's a tight story. It's very well written.
I really, and it's really well acted.
Even beyond being baseball, I like because I love baseball. But even beyond it being baseball, there's just something because I've seen many baseball movies. None of them have hit me the way that movie has. I just genuinely love that movie.
Good. Yeah. And what's the catcher who becomes second baseman? I forgot his name. He's in.
Chris Pratt plays him. God,
that's it, Chris Pratt.
What the hell is his
name?
He's
great in it. Yeah.
But why is his name?
Chris Pratt.
The player's name is just Scott Hatterberg.
Yeah.
Slipping my
mind. Do you know what that movie I like about that movie? And I think we've said that so many times about those kind of movies. Do you know what it made me do? It made me go and research it because I was like, real?
And well, the Billy Bean story with all that was honestly really, really impressive. It led to the Red Sox adopting that strategy led to the Red Sox breaking the 81 year. What was it? 81 years? Now I forget.
It was a long time.
We hadn't won since 1918 until 2004. So whatever the math is on that, it was 80 some odd years. I thought it was 81 or 80, whatever the math is. I'm terrible at math off the top of my head. But yeah, we had then hired Theo Epstein, who we actually tried to hire Billy Bean, as you see in that movie. He stays with the A's. We adopted that mentality with Theo Epstein, the GM that we did hire. Obviously, we had still a significantly bigger budget than, the Oakland A's had, given that we were the Red Sox. So it was, it was an adoption of it. But
listen to you, Mr. Money. We were the best.
Well, we're a tiny town over here.
Not the Orioles, thank God.
But yeah, so mixing that ideology with a bigger budget led to us breaking an 80 some odd year curse. It was great.
What's it called? The same curse? Oh, the
curse of the Great Bambino. Yeah, we traded Babe Ruth, and since 1918, we traded Babe Ruth, if I recall, because our owner was very cheap at the time. It was basically a cash grab to get some money back, if I recall correctly, but I could be incorrect. Traded him, and just literally 1918 didn't win a title till 2004. It was a hell of a drought.
And the movies with John Goodman, isn't it?
No, Moneyball has
no, the Babe Ruth story. Babe Ruth.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that
like early 90s.
Yes, it's actually really good.
It's quite actually, it shows him more off the field, a lot of his what he was like as well. A bit of it
was quite good.
Yeah,
he's from Baltimore, So Babe Ruth born in Baltimore. Yep.
I didn't know
he
that.
Was sent to
can I ask who are the current world champions who don't play around the world or World Series?
That's got to be Dodgers just won, didn't they?
Okay.
I believe the Dodgers won. I could be wrong. I believe the Dodgers beat the Yankees, though. I didn't pay a ton of attention.
LA Dodgers, isn't it? LA Dodgers.
I didn't pay a ton of attention because the Red Sox sucked this year.
The Dodgers used to be from Brooklyn.
Yes, they used to be Brooklyn. Let me just make sure about that. So I'm not wrong. I know the Yankees were in the World Series.
Here we go again.
Want the Yankees.
There we go. God. Never gonna
move around.
They do. Yeah, but that's not moving around. That's literally a full relocate to like a different country. That'd be like a British soccer team moving to Russia.
Yeah.
Yep, it was the Dodgers. They did beat the
Yankees. There we go. Well, on that, I think we're gonna get I think we're gonna get The Omen. Just because we said about The Omen or something like that.
I hope we get The Sandlot now that I know if it's on there. I hope we get The Sandlot.
I put it on so it's not on here, but I just literally
it'll be on for next time. It'll be on for next time, and a couple more B movies, and then
we need to put some more B movies. So think about that.
Okay, so next week we've got a great one, The Matrix, of course.
Oh my God!
And you know what I want to show up?
A terrible book, apparently, Sandy. Haven't you?
Yeah, we heard that.
Terrible book.
Yeah.
You know what I want to show up actually, because I'm seeing it here, is American Underdog. Because I've never watched that movie, but I remember Stacey saying you really enjoyed it. I'd be interested. And I keep seeing clips of it come up on my YouTube shorts for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if I mentioned it at some point and the phone listened to me. But clips of it have been coming up, and it actually looks really good. I want to check that movie out.
Now, I can't remember why. It was sorry, well, I can't remember why I watched it, but I can't remember if I was in Paris or Strasbourg. But me and my girlfriend was on holiday, and we had a really busy day. I can't remember what it was, and we went to bed like early, not for that reason because we were tired, and then I couldn't sleep, so I stuck on French TV, and I was like, oh my God, please English, anything English, and then American Underdog. It just literally credits come in. I could read it, and I was like, oh, if I had French subtitles, I went, great, I can understand this. So I watched it and I was like, that was bloody good. And then I woke up, I was like, I watched one of the bloody great movie last night. She was like, right, when we get home, I'm going to find it. I'm going to watch it. So when we got home, I made girlfriend watch it on the day we got back. I was like, this is really good. What I've had to look up, and then I what's the name? Then it turned out what's the name? He was the guy out of Shazam, isn't it?
Zachary Levi.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, he's been cancelled. It looks like." And she was like, "What? Shazam?" And I was like, "Oh, what's going on?"
For having the wrong opinion on politics.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's going to come back, and he's probably going to be in the next something.
He's actually got a movie coming out right now that looks like a really heartfelt family movie. It's about an autistic child and kind of his father. I think it's the journey of an autistic child and his father. More so I think it has more to do with the father kind of learning how to be a father of an autistic child. It looks really, really good. And honestly, heartfelt. The trailer got me a little choked up, to be honest with you. So I want to check that one out. I like Zachary Levi. I think he's a really good actor. And he seems like a really, really nice guy.
I like Shazam. I didn't like
Shazam. I didn't watch 2. I was out on 2, but I really liked the first Shazam. It was a charming, fun little movie. I enjoyed it.
I watched it with no, about Shazam. And I was like, you know what? I actually enjoyed that. Number 2 is awful.
Yeah, I kind of skipped that one. I wasn't too interested in it.
Yeah, except for the last 2 seconds of the last bit when they bring the true Superman back, well, like that. So, well, that's Black Adam, but Black Adam.
Oh yeah. You're right. That was Black Adam in that one. But regardless, it was. I liked that movie. I like Zachary Levi. I watched a little bit of that show Chuck he was on back in the day. I think he's a good, solid actor, and I think he seems like a really nice guy.
Well, I don't think we've got any, except for one. I think that's his only one on the list. So are we ready?
I hope we get that one.
So I'm going to go for dark religious horror. You're going American football. Sandy?
I think we're going to finally find that comedy we were looking for. There might be Airplane, 1 or 2 on here. Airplane, What About Bob? Yeah.
Or Citizen Kane. You called it earlier, so it might be Citizen Kane.
Could
there we go. Right, ready? Always a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, Jade. Whatever it is, if there is a book involved, it better be a good book.
Ooh, okay. Oh, this is the original.
I'm like, this isn't the Mark Wahlberg one, right?
No, please let it be the original.
Okay, because I was going to say, I'm like, how did this get on there? I've never seen the original. I've only seen the Wahlberg one. So,
all right, I'm not going to do it. Can you do the line, James? Can you do the line?
You were meant to blow the bloody doors off.
Good one. Good one.
Yay!
Nice classics. I love the classics here.
So there we go. Yeah, you've seen. Hold it, Jay. You've seen the remake and not seen this one.
Well, when I was younger, the remake was like just coming out, and I was too young to even realize that there was an original. So I watched it, didn't really care for it. I just remember that like Mini Cooper scene where they like dropped the Mini Cooper from one street down. That's like the thing that stands out the most to me of that movie. So I didn't really like it. So I never like looked into the original or anything like that. I knew it existed, but I didn't like this.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a. I suppose it's like I suppose if you want to compare it to me, it'd be like Ocean's 11 kind of
caper.
Thing. It's like okay.
I can get into that. I do like Ocean's 11 quite a bit.
Yeah. So if you're not it's a very it's a fun ride. Let's say that in the best way like that. But there we go. Oh my God. How did we get this? I think this is the most weirdest thing. Critters, The Matrix, The Italian Job. Literally, you cannot beat that.
Do you know who's in The Italian Job? You know Benny Hill is in The Italian Job.
Is he?
Is he really?
Benny Hill is in The Italian Job.
No
Yes.
No kidding.
No.
So we're gonna let's see who else is in The Italian. I just remember Benny Hill and obviously Sir Michael Caine. Should be Sir Benny Hill, but we can talk about that. Let's see who else was in it. It is Rafe Vallone. I don't know who that is. Tony Beckley. Don't know who that is. Maggie Bly. I know her name. Benny Hill. Noel Coward is Mr. Bridget. Yeah, I mean, I think some of these characters were mocked or imitated, right? In Ocean's 11, 12, 13, or what was the original Ocean's movie?
Original was Ocean's 11.
But the one with Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank Sinatra, the original.
Oh, sorry.
There's an original.
Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know there was an original.
Okay.
I thought Ocean's 11 was the first. I was not aware that there was an original of that as well.
Ocean's 11 was like all the 60s cool cat.
Oh, interesting.
I
would check that out for sure.
Pseudo mafia. So Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra. I forget that other guy's name. And that movie wasn't so great either.
The Rat Pack, wasn't
it? That's the thing. The Rat Pack. I can't remember what that's called.
Ocean's 11, the original. Oh, it's awful.
It's not. It's not good.
No, maybe that's why I never knew there was an original then.
No, because when I was like, they're remaking that. I was like,
I like the George Clooney Brad Pitt one.
And I was like, they've got a really good cast, except for one person putting on a British accent. God blimey, governor, what's going on here? Oh, my hands are going to Jesus, that's how we talk, apparently, from London. Everybody's going to be like, racist, that's how you talk. Everybody in chat now.
That sounds like every film club to me.
What is his name? He's in Marvel, isn't he? He did what is it? What is he playing? He does the Iron Man, doesn't he? Captain. The equivalent.
Are we talking the George Clooney Ocean's 11 or the original?
I'm looking him up.
Hey, nobody would know better.
Sandy, you see this?
I'm looking him up.
No, look on the screen.
No, I don't think she saw the screen.
I'm not looking. Hang on, I was typing. That is how you talk.
That's it. You're in trouble.
I can do multiple British accents, but apparently now you.
Highlander says Don Cheadle. Is that who we're thinking of?
That's it. Yes, that's it. Yes.
Does he play an English guy in Oceans?
Yeah, he does. He's the proper.
I don't even remember him being in Oceans 11.
He's the
code breaker.
Oh, that's right. He does the EMP and all that, right?
What's going on? Oh, Governor Chaplain Pears.
Right. I totally forgot he was in that.
Yeah, in the van. Yeah.
And I find it funny because at the time he's not a well-known actor. He's probably more known for Marvel than he was then. He was a bit obscure. Why couldn't you get a British actor?
Yeah, honestly.
Like, I'm not being oddball. There's some great British actors. And if you wanted to go East London British actors, you could have just looked at Sandy's one of her favorite shows, EastEnders, and picked somebody off that.
God, yeah. Brilliant actors on EastEnders. Or I mean,
we just get somebody who can do the accent properly. Because I've seen a lot of British actors do great American. I was going to say impressions, American accents. So like, I'm not always super strict on like try to get somebody from the region. My thing is just get somebody who can do the accent. Like I was just watching, because of our conversation last week.
Tom Hardy.
Oh God, he just his accents are brutal. But after our conversation last week, I actually started watching Daredevil season 1 with my wife because she had never seen it, and because I want to watch season 3 and review it, I'm like, season 4 it'll be, or Daredevil Born Again, technically new series, whatever. But since they continue in it, I wanted to watch it again just to kind of refresh on it, and just because I enjoyed it so much. And my wife was actually really enjoying it as well. And I pointed out, I'm like, this actor is actually British, Charlie Cox, and he does a really pretty good American accent. So like, if you're not going to have somebody who's got the accent naturally, at least get somebody who can do it properly. Like, why cast somebody who does a caricature of an accent? I can never understand that.
I always laugh when like you find out they weren't American and they were British or something like that. And you're like, they're like an accent. It's like, what's the best one?
Hugh Laurie.
True Blood. Bill Compton. You ever heard his one? If anybody watched True Blood, but yeah, Hugh Laurie.
I've never watched. Yeah, Hugh Laurie's. That's right, and he's pretty. He's a pretty good one. I didn't.
I have to remind him.
Yeah, but we've known him.
He's not British. I'm like, yes, he's very British. Brian Laurie, but Brian Laurie.
Yeah.
He's very
but we've known him back in the day, so we just was like, he's putting an American accent, he's doing it quite well because he's very been on British TV like comedian for ages. But yeah, Bill Compton, like trying to think other ones you like when you hear them, their accent in real life, you're like, what the hell did that come from? You're like, what the hell? But it's like,
Christian Bale. Christian Bale can do a pretty good American accent. Like what? Yeah, and I'm sure there's American actors who can do good English or whatever French. They're not coming to mind at the moment, but I'm sure there's actors from all different areas that can do good accents. Why cast ones that can't? I'll never understand that.
Okay, fair play to Dick Van Dyke. He did an interview and he was completely off his rocker and he was completely drunk and he doesn't remember doing the movie. So we can support his accent. Yeah, he was like, he was completely full alcoholic and he turned up. They gave him, this is what you got to read.
Yep.
British accent. Ow! Blimey, God in the chimneys today. But
and most people in America hadn't heard a British accent unless you fought in World War II in the Atlantic. You didn't know, but Gillian Anderson, Kim Cattrall is English. Most people don't know Kim Cattrall is English.
Is it Band of Brothers? There's a great there's a great little scene where they go into the Royal Air Force Regiment, I think it is, and they go up and they like interact with them, and they're like, he goes up and he goes, "Oh, what you got?" And he goes off with like, I can't remember what pistol it is, and he's like, "All right, mate, you're half nicking that," and like that, and it's like a really great scene. They're like, "What are you saying?
What are you saying?" Yeah,
like, what are you saying? But there's a great thing because like it's the first time they didn't know the. Having a laugh if you're half nicking that or something. I can't remember what he says, but it's great. Yeah, and it's like, it's like a great little scene, and it's just like, it probably was like you went to London, as anybody from the East Coast, you'd be like, what are you talking? You know, like our dialogue is so tight like that. I suppose like you know, it's like you would say like you have a New York accent, but New York's massive. You have New York and then a New York accent, you know, like a Boston accent, but they're really close in terms of like what it looks like on the map. But like how from county to county is ridiculously different. Like a Norfolk accent to a Suffolk accent is completely different like that. So, but like, yeah, farmer to, we call it a swampy accent. So it's completely different. So yeah, it's mad. But yeah.
Okay, Highlander's redeemed himself. He thinks Band of Brothers is good. Okay.
Oh, it's fantastic. It is so damn good.
I'm going to be, I love Band of Brothers. I like Band of Brothers. I like Pacific more. And the reason is,
see, I haven't watched Pacific, but people tell me it's not as good at all.
The reason I like it is because they show the boredom. And I love that because once I watched it, I already had served and I understood the boredom of it. Sometimes they just show moments they're just waiting, and it's so like they're on edge because it's boring and they're waiting. And I got that. I was like, oh, that is interesting point. And I got it more realistic than, of course, what they did in Band of Brothers, because it's more bang, 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 bang. You know, it's like next action. They don't show the boring bit. Whereas at Pacific, they really do drive into, no, this is the campaign. It's like, yeah, it's
interesting.
Yeah, I adore Band of Brothers, but I liked, yeah.
I've been meaning to circle back and watch the Pacific because I watched Band of Brothers, loved it, and all of my friends were like, yeah, Pacific's all right, blah, blah, blah. And I don't usually let that be a make or break of whether or not I'm going to watch something, but it just kind of took me out of the immediate need to watch it right away. I kind of moved on to a few other things because it was just kind of a lukewarm reaction by them. So I'm surprised to hear that. I'll have to go back and watch it now for sure.
I like it. It's more like it's where the Band of Brothers, I suppose, have got all the different. You've got different people. They focus on it. And you've got the main guy who's British. Like I forgot his name. But yeah, they really focus on just a few. You know, that like there's probably 3. I think in Pacific they really drive down the focus on. So yeah, I would watch it. It's great.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
But yeah, cool. So guys, Sandy, it's been great having you back. You've got have you finished the most boringest book, worst book you've had to read?
It's really hard to get through. So the book Matrix is Neuromancer, which is what the Matrix is based on, and it has all the concepts. It has the idea of the Matrix, the implant, plugging into the Matrix. It doesn't have the story of Neo. It just has, it's a different story. But man, is it written in such a how can that concept be?
It's written in just ones and zeros.
And so when I went back to Audible to read some of the critiques of the book, it said exactly that, Nerd Takes. It said that this book is the personification of the idea of a society, run by ones and zeros. Or
that's funny.
It's exceptionally advanced, and it's so sophisticated and advanced, but so boring at the same, like bland. Like you took all the fun out of it. And it's the style of writing. It's not the ideas behind it. So yeah, but yeah.
Would you say that it's the worst you've read so far?
No, the Miller's Crossing book was the worst.
What was that? The Glass Key or something?
Key was
the
that's absolute worst. But this one's really close. But the cast, so first give credit to the Wachowskis for turning that into what they turned it into, right? But they made the cast read this book, and they also made the cast read some kind of philosophy about living in an altered state or something. This philosophy book, which is also 100 times even more boring than the Neuromancer book. So I can't imagine the cast being thrilled with reading these, because the Wachowskis wanted them to understand the high level concept, which is just communicated so poorly in these books. But we'll talk more about that next week. So I'm excited. But I have to say, again, just, I mentioned it when we all joined backstage, but I so enjoyed listening to the two of you just geek out on Batman that I hope you do more of those. And I'm not saying I don't want to be there, but I like just listening as a listener and not a participant because it's different, and I had hoped to be sitting at a poolside in Florida while you were streaming, and unfortunately it was 24 degrees. So I was in my
they got some
hotel.
cold down there.
Yeah, but it was so wonderful to listen and and just hear, your appreciation and to participate in chat as well. So I hope you guys do those things. And I like your idea, James, of like, we have to look at these things like top 10s and movies we love to hate and something ahead of the holidays. I like the idea of little special topics that we can chat about too. So,
well, that's why we need to get Jay to do Star Trek. Then we can talk about best captain.
If you guys can give me in Discord afterward, just give me the place to start. Give me like 4 or 5 episodes to start with. I'll try to get them done, and then we can schedule something like that.
4 or 5 episodes.
Well, I don't know how long are they. Like, what's a good chunk?
How long is Star Trek?
Like
52 years of history. Yeah.
What season or what version of it to start with?
Like, you can't do it because if you started off, I would say a Next Generation.
The Next Generation.
Okay.
Start, but that is like what 28 episodes a season.
They were good long seasons.
Yeah, and that went on for like
45-minute episodes, probably, or was it half hour episodes?
45.
45, with commercials, but like
but the development, but it's not like that's the thing is it's like okay, if you watch the Today series, you could watch the 5 and get the show. I suppose you can get everything, but there's such a like if you go for Wolf character. His development throughout the series grows so much.
Right.
So
wouldn't be able to get it. Right.
Yeah, you just won't get it. You won't get the thing. Like even like how the bridge characters grow into themselves through like things like how the captain, like the commanders, like that. And it's like you've got the aliens and all that, but it is all about the bridge crew and that their journey and that carries on through every up to the new crap that probably with Deep Space Nine and all that and Janeway and all it just carries on.
Well, then maybe what I can do is try to crush at least a season and then maybe have some talks after seasons. Like after I do season 1, maybe we can do a little chat then, and schedule some things like that.
I would say because you're going to get Q straight away of Next Generation. So Next Generation, you understand what Q is. Q is an entity that goes throughout, and he's even in the new ones. It will. Oh, that's interesting. So I think if that first season is, it gets in, and it quickly tells you about the characters and all that and what's what. So if I would, I would,
and it gets better. The first season is a little. There's some things that are really annoying, but I think by season 2 and 3, it's learned all its lessons. Like there are some characters that are really annoying. There are, costumes change and, it starts out with the female crew members in their little shorty skirts, and then they are allowed to wear pants like the men later on. And there's unfortunately Whoopi Goldberg and Wesley Crusher. And well, you just have to, kind of deal with those characters. But they're even they are important to the stories. But the development of the characters like Worf, Data. There are a few I can't stand, but they're important. Like I can't stand Deanna Troi, but she's important to the story.
British.
Yes, British.
Well, I'll have to make a concentrated effort to start watching it. And once I get through a season, I'll update you guys and maybe we can schedule something.
Okay, here we go. Because it's going to take you a while. To do that, it will take you a while. You need to start it and then just go, I'm done, guys. Let's go.
Right.
Have you seen Firefly?
No, the Joss Whedon one? No, never watched it.
Sandy, you definitely have.
You know what? It's time to watch it again. But then
that's just a one season, right?
I'm get angry.
One season.
Then I'm going to get angry.
There is a movie called Serenity. That will be easy. I think it's only 8. It's got to be 6 or 8.
We can start with that.
Yeah.
Hey, do that. Watch
I've always wanted to watch. Isn't Marina Baccarin in that too? Isn't Morena Baccarin Deadpool, the girlfriend of Deadpool?
Yes.
And I have always wanted to watch that. I've heard really, really good things.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Highlander. You will.
All right, maybe we'll start with that then.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, but that's a more like it's like even now I watched it only a few months ago. It was on Disney Plus, I think now. It's it's worth a watch. It's worth a watch. And then you go, but then there's the movie Serenity.
Right.
It kind of kind of got it and things like that. I didn't mind that. I watched it. I went to cinema by myself and I enjoyed it.
All the garbage that is on television, for all the garbage that has lasted 5 and 6 and 7 and 12 seasons, I don't think anybody understands this. I don't think, but whatever. People liked it. Yeah. Good story. Anyway, getting angry. Look, getting angry. I'm having my George R. Martin anger right now. Like, finish it. 2 more.
Finish it. Oh, yeah. But it's always been a rumor that they're going to get, because I can't remember who did is it Fox, isn't it? It must be Fox, and then Disney got the rights.
If Disney's got it now, most
likely,
it
must be. Yeah, and I think there's always been a rumor.
Oh God,
because it's.
I haven't even watched it, and I wouldn't just knowing how much people love it. I wouldn't want Disney to bring it back.
I thought Firefly was WB.
I thought Serenity was Warner Brothers, because they were like, well, we'll give it out. I can't remember who did them, because they kind of, wherever was in the contract, it meant they could do a movie but couldn't carry on the show. And so it's like that. But then he's been kind of he's been cancelled at the moment, hasn't he? So but there's always rumors. Always rumors that they're going to bring back every time you speak to, they do like interviews with the crew, like the cast, sorry. They're always like, oh well, we kind of we would do, but nothing's been firm. It's like that, unfortunately. So but how would they if they had to do it, they would have to do it quick. It would be it's like how much I love Red Wolf and wearing a Red Wolf shirt. They're getting really old, them guys, because there was a big disagreement between the two writers who owned the rights. Now they just look like really old men just doing comedy, like sci-fi. It's like there's a point where you're like, it's just too long. It's gone. Leave it alone.
Yeah, the window closed.
Unfortunately, but give that. I would say that you would easily get through that. That's
eight episodes or whatever. I can do that.
Yeah, it's an easy watch. It is, and it's fun. And they're like, they tell a underlining story, but each episode's slightly different. So, but
is Alan? God, I can never say his last name. Starts with a T.
Yes, he's in it. Yes,
Tudyk. Yes, Tudyk. I'm never sure how to say it. I like him. He's good. He's a great voice actor. I've liked him in the shows that I've seen him in. So,
and one of the Baldwins in it. I can't remember which Baldwin is in it. Not the one we know. It's one of the Dan.
Is it a Daniel?
Daniel Baldwin.
Sure. I forget how many Baldwins there is.
Yeah, oh my God, he's in it. It actually plays it quite well. It's quite funny. But yeah, and it's got the River is Summer Gao, how you pronounce her, who did the Sarah Connor series as she was the Terminator in it. So that was quite that was okay. But yeah, we go little bit. Look, we love giving Jay homework. Apparently, everybody, there's your homework.
I'm the only one that gets homework.
If you give me homework, you give me learn the lesson. Shall I just learn the laws, or what do you call it? The rules of baseball. There we go.
I read all the
NFL I get a lot of homework, and where they've moved from.
There we go.
I get a lot of homework with reading these books, and then once we get through Star Trek, okay, so Firefly, Star Trek. Then let's go. Then let's make sure we revisit Battlestar Galactica, and then Babylon 5 and V.
Farscape.
We talked about V today. That was only like 3 seasons.
Yeah,
that was a very self-contained.
You got Farscape. You got Lex.
Oh my gosh, yes, we got Farscape. Okay.
Farscape is great practical puppeteering in that is amazing. Stargate. There we go. Stargate. Stargate's what, 14, 15 seasons, isn't it? Like 13 maybe. That's a long dig, that is. First season's terrible. I'm trying to think what else we got.
Oh, there's plenty. There's lots.
There is plenty. Jay, we can keep you going till you're old. Until you're our age, we can keep you going. Do your knees hurt and you're moaning about your hips all day?
And the audio's not working today.
Where have I put my keys? Adrenaline. Yeah. Oh, we can actually do that. Was it Xena? Hercules.
Xena. Oh my gosh, we could do Xena, Buffy. We could do Buffy.
There you go. Oh, there you go. You know Xena.
Xena and Hercules. I did grow up watching those.
There we go. Oh, brilliant.
Xena, okay, wait a minute. And give it a fair shake. The Highlander TV series. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it as a kid.
Never got into it. Never. Well,
you know,
I watched it.
Buffy stole a lot from the Highlander.
Oh, Buffy. There we go. Buffy.
I said Buffy before, but the idea of a watcher, that was in the Highlander TV series way before Giles was the watcher in Buffy. I'm just saying.
I never got into Buffy because the first thing I always heard of, one, I was too young at the time to watch it. Wasn't allowed to. But then even in later ages now, everybody who I hear loves it is always like, it's great. Like Mahler, Gary, when I'm listening to them talk about it, they're like, I love great show. But it takes about a season to get good. And I'm like, damn, dude, if a show takes a whole season to get me into it, like that's a big investment.
Well, Star Trek does. I think TNG's first season is not really good, but it sets a lot of stuff up, like with all the Q stuff. So you have to see it, even though it's not the best filming, it's not the best dialogue, it's clunky, the costumes are terrible. I think you need it though for the story. So
one day I'll get around to it, and I know I will, because my curiosity has been, already kind of peaked on that one. So like, I do want to watch it, but every time I think of like, because it's tough enough when a show takes like 3, 4, 5 episodes to really get going and like get into it, get the characters, but I can always do that. But a whole season of like, all right, when's this going to get good? Just seems daunting.
I think it's what they mean by Buffy, because each of the first season, they're individual episodes. There's not much development. They're fun. But it is like they're doing like Scooby-Doo episodes.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Yeah, and they make a reference to it later on. Like they go with a Scooby-Doo squad because they are literally just discovering. In the later 2, they start developing all the different characters, especially like Angel and Buffy, and then further on they bring in other characters. But yeah, they start there. But the season 1 isn't. There's except for the end. I'm not going to give it like the master, but there's not much to it. There's it's just could be you could miss an episode and you wouldn't need to worry about it until you watch the first episode and the last season episodes to figure out what's going on. So there's a lot of I suppose you call it filler. If there was you watching a story season and there's a filler one, but they all are individual episodes. But then they do that sometimes in the early seasons of Star Trek. They have an episode, you're like, where's that come from? It's just a bit odd. But it's just to focus on one character. And then they do it, and then you understand later on what they meant, and so does Buffy. So yeah, give it a go. I would give it a go. You will enjoy it. I guarantee you will enjoy it. So yeah.
Well, I've watched enough bad CW superhero shows, so I'm sure I can I can get through a season of Buffy, even if it's not the best part of Buffy.
That's it, yeah. But it's very I feel like my girlfriend really likes it. She likes it. She's like, oh, I like watching Buffy. So it's very I think it's not like this is male driven. This is for it's a female driven show, even though it's a female lead. It's just very entertainment. It's just it can be brought on, to whoever likes it. So yes, very
fair enough.
Very good. Cool. All right. Anything else from you guys? As Jay, you got to go soon. But yeah,
yes.
Jay,
yes,
what have you got coming up?
I've got to start getting things into gear here because I have been a little bit busy IRL. I know I say that quite often, but this winter season is always busy for me. So I need to start focusing on some more YouTube stuff while I have some spare time before Baby Nerd takes us here, because that's going to change time quite a bit. So I got to do a few things this week. I got a recommendation video I'm working on. I don't really have too much to review right now because there's just not a ton.
There's nothing out there.
Yeah, so that's why I'm kind of going to recommendations. I do want to work on something looking ahead at 2025 movies and all that, what to expect, or just kind of what might be good, what might be bad type of thing, or my predictions. As well as just some other stuff with the channel, shorts, streams, find some time to fire up a few streams, things like that. But so this upcoming week, expect to see me a little bit more active on my channel. I know the past 2 weeks have been pretty quiet for me outside of like a Daredevil trailer video. So yeah, just the normal stuff, but more of it.
Sandy,
I am
got going on?
Incredibly busy
walking around. We found. I saw you today. Live.
You found me today. I was in the what's called the Penn Quarter, so Pennsylvania Avenue around 7th Street, and so I went to the Navy Memorial because it was so. I got home from work at 2:00 last night, and I was going to sleep in today, but I opened my eye a little later than normal and saw that it was bright and sunny, and I had to get out. So I am, and there was a little breeze, so there's all these flags. So anyway, so it was a good little walk today, and I did a live stream, and thank you for joining my live stream. I had a lot of views on this one again.
Oh, that's great.
It really does. It's I just like chatting with people in the chat from all over the world. It's kind of cool. But I'm working on because I've been so busy at work, I'm behind in some of my other things. So I have a couple of articles I need to publish for my historical societies, and but there's a video I'm working on about the Library of Congress's National Film Registry. So each year, the Library of Congress in the United States designates a number of films as worthy of preservation. And that means there's a little more care taken to preserve the original cut and gather documentation about how the films were made. And it becomes part of our national libraries and culture. And so I'm going to do a video on that and explain what that is and what it means when you make the National Film Registry. And I'll talk about some of the cool films on the National Film Registry that we also have on the Wheel of Film. So I want to get that going hopefully by next week. But otherwise, I'm so glad to carve out some time to hang out with the both of you because, again, who would have thought watching Critters? Okay, it's good. No, but the best part about it is talking with you guys and the chat about it. So lots of fun. Looking forward to Matrix next week.
Excellent. Cool. Myself, Jay, you just reminded me by saying you need to do a recommendation. I need to kind of do a D recommendation. Only the reason is I watched The Conclave. And then I was like, what a terrible movie. And then
everybody's talking about that.
Really?
Everybody got recommended for best picture.
Yeah. Ralph Fiennes, right? Or
Ray Fiennes, yeah.
Right? Yeah, I can never say it right.
It's one of the worst movies I probably have ever watched.
I feel like people got a lot of buzz about that one right now. That's
it's so historic. It's historically setting is bad.
Of course.
And literally what they do is within the last 10 minutes, they just don't tick the boxes. They get a Sharpie out and they boom, all over the Catholic Church. And you're like, oh, that's it. And it was like, it starts off, if you watch the first 10 minutes, you're like, this might be interesting because, you see like the two popes and all that those kind of shows and all that thing. This just literally goes, oh, interesting. And then you go, oh, and then it goes, now we're going to have a shit on the Catholic Church. How about that, everyone? And you're like, oh no. And it's a mess. It is literally a terrible mess. So that I need to do it because I was like, oh, nobody cares about this movie. It's like, I was like, that was a terrible pick for me. I'm really sorry.
Oh, dreadful.
Like when I watched it. And then it's dreadful. But then I couldn't believe it's up for Best Picture. So I was like, I might have to do a D recommendation because it's bad. It is really, really bad. So yeah, that would be a good take because I'm just like, I just can't believe like Oscars. I understand why Oscars do it because there are movies in their Best Pictures are the greatest tick box they could ever give out there because I think this is probably going to be one of the last kind of times they're going to be able to go big tick box. Why? Because we're going to do it. So it's awful. Yeah, there we go. Oh, there we go. Good actors, rubbish movie, rubbish film. That comes out of nowhere. She's been listening.
Yeah.
She's always listening. You got to be careful, Faces.
It might be up for Oscars because there's nothing else out there.
Yeah. To be honest, when I looked at the list of Best Pictures, I was kind of like, oh man, I really haven't seen a lot of these, which is like maybe not the greatest thing for somebody who reviews movies on YouTube. But then I was like looking into them and I'm like, God, I haven't seen these because I don't really have interest in any of these. They don't look very appealing to me.
But they all studios, and I said this probably a year ago, is the word was made an agreement. This is the Wicked year.
Yeah.
To win everything. Next year was apparently going to be Snow White's year. And the studios made a deal before they released anything. And now I think one of the studios is like, shit. What we got? So yeah, it's Snow White's dead. Nobody's watching that thing.
I mean, I'm not the target audience for it. I understand that. I get that. I'm not really a Snow
White fan. Target audience, they pissed off.
Well, that's the thing, right? You've pissed off your target audience too. But on top of that, just as like looking at the trailer, it just looks terrible.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's going to be interesting. I think, there's the they got that trans like a cartel thing. I think
the one with Zoe Saldana.
They probably win for like best
musical or something. I think it's a musical.
Best picture, musical is going to be Wicked.
I've never seen it. I have no idea.
All that director.
Oh yeah, that's right. Wicked would be musical.
Yeah, it's going to be Wicked across the thing. So I think you're going to get some weird.
Yeah, I've never seen any of these.
Thing. But Wicked's going to win it. Wicked's going to win every other thing, like best.
And in fairness, by all accounts, it seems like people who like Wicked did enjoy that movie.
I
fair enough.
And I can understand why people enjoy that movie, and I can understand, Sandy, you've seen the show, you're going to like it because of the musical, but there's no plot. That's the problem. In that movie, that for the first hour. There is no plot to the movie.
There's no real plot to the show either. It's a dumb plot, but it's fun. Like, because I took my kid, like it was the first musical that both my kids went to. And it's just a lot of, wild color scenery, amazing costumes, and the music's great. Who cares about the plot? You're just there to see all the cool stuff. But the show didn't have much of a plot.
Yeah. But that's the thing is, like, I was watching, I was like, I don't get, there's nothing actually happening.
Yeah.
It just things looks
just
pretty.
Feels like
it looks good.
Yeah, it feels like it was just a bit of a weak year for film.
Yeah.
And again, I haven't watched most of these Oscar-nominated ones, so I'll have to.
I like to
watch it.
Yeah.
I try to always watch at least the ones nominated for Best Picture, just to see. The one I actually do have interest in is that movie, The Substance. I don't know much about it, but I've heard really good things.
Is that the horror one? What's the other one? There was
is it Demi Moore?
Yeah, Demi Moore. Yeah, and then there's the other one that's not being released yet. It's the I think it's immigration story after World War II. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's maybe a B. Chat, you can tell me. I can't remember. But there's that one as well. I was like, I saw a trailer. I was like, it looks okay, but that's up for everything, and it's not even being released yet. And I was like, okay. So maybe they're trying to get more hype to get people to watch it at cinema because it's more of a dramatization of.
I think I saw Dune 2 was on there, which I liked Dune 2, but it doesn't feel like a Best Picture nominee.
No, that's not a.
Let me see here.
That's forgettable. I even forgot that was even in this year.
Yeah,
up for the Oscars. That's the problem.
This year we have Anora, which I haven't watched. The Brutalist, which actually looked interesting.
That's what it's called. That's the Second World War immigration thing. I think. Yeah.
That one looked interesting. Adrian Brody, A Complete Unknown. I actually did want to watch that. That's the Bob Dylan story.
I don't like Bob Dylan, so I'm not.
Oh, see, I love Bob Dylan.
I really don't like the music, so I was like,
I love Bob Dylan, so I was interested in that one. Conclave, I haven't seen, and it doesn't sound like it's something I want to see.
Wait for my breakdown.
I'll wait for that first. Dune Part 2, which I enjoyed, but it doesn't feel like
it's a
movie of the year.
It's a mid movie.
Amelia Perez, which is that one we were just talking about with Zoe Saldana. I'm Still Here. Don't honestly know. The Nickel Boys, which if I think that's the one I'm thinking of, it did actually look interesting, but haven't seen it. The Substance looks interesting.
Set in Africa. Is that the one I'm thinking of? I'm not too sure.
I'd have to honestly check to be sure. I'm not entirely positive. It just sounds really familiar. And I feel like I saw the trailer and liked it. The Substance, again, heard really good things. I'd watch that. And then Wicked, which all respect to those who like Wicked. Musicals just aren't typically my thing, and maybe someday I'll watch it out of some curiosity, but I'm not in any rush to watch that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting list.
I'm more
Save
than happy.
yourself.
Not
You don't need to.
Yeah. I'm more than happy to just let people tell me about it. Like I won't be watching part 2. That's the thing. Is like, I was just like, oh, well, when a movie's bad, when you pick up your phone. That's the way I was. And I was like, I'm done now. I was like, I don't get what's going on because there's nothing going on. So that's the problem. But cool. Yeah, so we're gonna have a lot of bit of fun with the Oscars. The Oscars are terrible now. Last year it was even worse. There was only one moment anybody talked about. I think this year is going to be diabolical. I think they're gonna have to claw not just the Oscars. Hollywood's got a little bit of healing to do with itself. And
well, that's why I think this next year, not to keep going on here, but I do think this next year is full of just sequels and reboots, because to me it feels like a little bit of aftermath potentially of the Hollywood strikes, where it's like not a lot of creative scripts were coming in, so it's like let's just rehash, reboot, and sequel up some of these things we already know, and also a little bit of like kind of a buffer before they get some new original ideas back and try to do something different going into 2026, because Hollywood I don't think is in a great place right now, and I think they need to kind of readjust or reassess how they want to tell stories going forward. So I think a year of just all these silly sequels, reboots, and this, that, the other thing is like a little bit of a palate cleanse. Hopefully they're not terrible. Hopefully they're at least decent reboots and sequels, but I'm sure there's going to be bad ones in there, probably more 100%. Bad than good. And then I'm hoping that leads us to something different coming in 2026, more original stuff, more creative stuff.
You just hope
more well-written stuff. Yeah,
there'd be a gem they've not promoted yet. You'd be like, oh, that's good. I like that. And that would run with it. There's been a few, but that's the problem. Like, what Critters is a great example. That year, bloody what a list.
Look at
next
that
year,
list.
you're going to be like, there's one throughout the whole year. There's not like one every month. It's one in a year now, and that's the problem. You've not got that grind, and like the whole movies are like so more expensive to run these days. Like no, you're just awful at making them. You're just awful at making them because you make enough. You make the same amount. You're just terrible at making them. So it is what it is.
I mean, and something creative like the Blair Witch Project was made for $43,000. It is effectively the most successful movie in history because it made hundreds and hundreds of times what it cost to make. Essentially, it was a college project. It was 3 kids turning in a film study project, and filmed out here in Burkittsville, Maryland, where I do some of my historical work. But not the best film ever made, but wow, what an interesting concept. And where's the creative? Like, there's no creativity. There's nothing we could say, oh my gosh, that's groundbreaking, or oh wow, what a great idea, or what a new thought or a new story. It's just not. Hope it changes. I really hope it changes. And I hope I hope we can get excited about things in the cinema again, and not just for. I think we get excited for the sequels that we're looking forward to. Hopefully someday there'll be something brand new that we can just grasp onto.
I love to go to cinema and watch an unknown. And actually go, oh, that was good. Instead of going, oh, you're watching something, and then it comes out like the worst thing out of a microwave. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hi, April. Oh, you were at a 60th birthday party. Wow, we were talking about how we were all feeling old except for Jay much earlier.
Well, Abel, you come at the wrong time because we're gonna have to call it because Jay's got to go. He's got things to do. Play Jay. Yeah, that's fine.
As much as I would love to just play Marvel Rivals for the rest of the night, I do have some things to do.
I'm gonna get on. You know what? I'm gonna jump on Satisfactory. I've started fresh. I'm gonna play that a little bit. I think.
Never seen it.
Nice.
But cool. But yeah, everybody, easy homework next week. The Matrix. So
I can't wait.
Everybody's seen it. So just watch it again because if you've not seen it. Come here and we'll tell you about it. And don't read the book. But until The Matrix, follow the rabbit, the white rabbit.